Good afternoon, my little couch potatoes, and welcome back to the comfiest courtroom on the internet. I'm your host, Llama, and it's time for dramatic testimony, overruled objections, and absolutely unqualified opinions. So grab your snuggiest blanket, some delicious snacks, and get ready to watch court with your internet besties. This is Couch Court with Llama. And I'm not alone this afternoon. We also got Miss Terry True Crime joining us again. Told y'all we'd be back. And the lovely Miss Annie. We just got done wrapping up Midday Missing. If you missed that, please go watch that. That's Terry's show. It brings a lot of attention to missing persons, especially today. It is Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women Day. And I think everyone needs to go watch it and spread the word.
Yes.
Now, but when we left for lunch, we were talking about some photos of Katie McLaughlin with...
And this is why I'm back.
And this is why you're back, for the tea. Okay,
I have to go work, but I need the tea.
You need all the tea. Yes, so while we are also on break, I put together these little pictures for you. They're not the greatest, but I had like 10 minutes, so it is what it is. So these are pictures on Facebook of Katie McLaughlin and Caitlin Albert. So, Katie McLaughlin is saying, we went to high school. I barely know her. Who is she? We've only done a few things together, but we're not friends. Ladies, especially ladies in the chat. What do you think? Do these look just like acquaintances? I don't think so. Here's another one with them on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
You have an echo, Bells? I don't know why you would have an echo. Is
I'm
it
plugged
echoing
in.
for anyone else? Yeah, that's weird. Well, I'll keep going then. So here's them at the 4th of July. You know, again, they don't know each other at all. They're not even friends. Okay. Next is them as they're looking to have a night out of some sort. Again, she doesn't know Caitlin, by the way. That's right there.
Yeah, where is
I
she in
believe
this
that's
photo? Is she
Caitlin.
the one below?
I think this is her.
I think that's
No,
her.
no.
Albert. I think that's
mom.
Albert, the testifying
Yeah.
girl. I think that's her right there. I think.
Oh, okay. I couldn't pick her out in that one.
The one in the
Here's
hot
that-
tub.
Here's that baby shower that they were also talking about. She's the one on the end here next to this person right here that I believe.
Albert.
That's Caitlin Albert. Oh my gosh. It's like they've never talked this whole time.
She's just some girl that I knew in high school.
Just some girl. Just some girl. Oh, here they are again. Isn't that interesting? Okay. And then here they are as well. That's who's on the stand right now, or was, and that's Albert. So what all do you think, Chad? Does it seem like they're just acquaintances who just went to high school together, but they are not friends? They don't know anything about one another, really. I mean, I don't believe it. Sorry.
I'm not buying it.
No.
I'm not buying it.
I mean, I had my party girl days. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would be at parties where other people were, but I would still talk to them. But some of these are kind of intimate celebrations, you know? Yeah, if you have a baby shower, you're inviting all different sorts of people. But again, you're in so many pictures together. It's very hard for me to believe that, like, you guys aren't there.
I mean, she's sitting in your lap in a
Mhm.
swimsuit.
Oh, we're back in court.
Oh, okay.
They're about to bring in the jury. So those are the pictures. We can look at them again if everyone wants to, but
They're closer than acquaintances.
Yeah, like, come on, girl. You ain't fooling
Do
nobody.
better.
You ain't fooling nobody. You ain't fooling me. That's just not how it works. Let's see. Oh, I need that one.
Yeah,
Well, there we go.
I still think it's perjury.
Again, my biggest problem with her is she said she didn't feel the need to ask Karen
I know,
to
what were they
expand
hit
on
with?
I hit him. She doesn't even go here. right?
Especially
Yeah.
after here. I mean, yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
which one's his wife? I don't know which one she is. Is she the one in the black there
I don't know.
next to his mom?
Huh.
Or is she the one in front of him?
Front and back.
Anyway,
So the one sitting next to mom. Maybe it's her time to comfort mom. Maybe they take turns.
maybe. Who'd be next? I don't know who's next on the stand. I don't think they, excuse me, that they said before lunch.
Hmm.
So
I don't either. Well, I will be
black shirt.
listening while I go work, but if they get anyone else crazy on the stand, I may have to interrupt work and come back in.
Well, that's fine. You go ahead and I guess go do some work, but you're welcome
For
back
some reason, they
anytime
want
you
me to
want.
do my job.
Oh, how rude. Rude,
But
I say. I'm just
I will
kidding.
be listening, guys. See you soon.
All right, bye,
Bye.
Terry.
Thank you, Kelly P.
I
Hi,
know her
little
sweater
bit.
is so great.
It is. It's very cute.
Oh, goodness.
Pink is a
Okay.
good color for her.
Did
What's
you
she
have a
next?
nice little break, Annie?
I did. I had lunch, which was boring, but I was hungry, so it's good.
Good. Good. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I guess I can get rid
Broccoli
of
and
that.
cheese pizza, but I did have a cake pop, so that's not boring. That was
Ooh,
delicious.
a cake pop.
Yeah,
Did
some
you make
lovely
said cake
person.
pop?
No, somebody else made them for me because they're amazing.
Oh,
I know.
that.
Buffy says, "Do you think that Brennan is still trying to figure out what he's gonna do about all these cops in the investigation?"
Probably. I hope we're getting one. I hope we're getting a really juicy one. That's what I hope.
I mean, like, if he's still trying to figure it out, what, 2 years later? Hi, baby. 2 years later? Okay. Excuse me. Hello.
Do you think,
He's a
let
cowboy.
it be Proctor. Let it be Proctor.
That would
I
be
mean,
great.
who else? He has to start calling the police. So, I don't know. I don't know who else he would call at this point, but he's not calling anyone that makes sense. So, I mean, we still haven't seen the bar videos. And
I
they
know.
introduced
There's
those like
we
a
haven't
week and a
seen.
half ago. Doesn't make any sense. Well, I think this case, he just got this case over the summer. Well, I mean,
Send you back to the jury room. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
oh,
All rise, please.
Are you
Close
serious?
your notebooks. Follow me.
Baby,
really?
this is
Really?
not your show.
Kelly says,
You're not-
question, does anyone think that the I hit him continuously said in front of the jury is going to sway them? I think that's a very good question. But I do think, because they are hearing it numerous times, right? So it does stay in your memory that I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Goodness, girl. It's fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
But
Just a
the
hiccup.
defense has pointed out, oh, that reminds me, the ambulance lady, okay, she said that when we're in the dash cam, okay, she's off to the right talking to Karen and Jen when I believe she said that's when Karen said that I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, right? I believe that's what she was testifying to, but yet it wasn't heard, recorded at all. But also, if I remember right from Jen McCabe's testimony this time around, they got Jen to admit that she was the only one that heard it and that she stands by that.
I feel like that was right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I didn't remember that, so you just said it, but I 100% think that's correct.
Yeah. It was towards the end of her testimony there.
Huh.
I do think I agree, Buffy. Defense needs to stop saying it. It could be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I don't know, because he's brought up good points. It's not recorded in, the dash cam there's a voicemail on John's phone, I think. It was recorded in another manner. Well, what was going on was, so. And Nuttall said she said it while she was standing by him. I believe so. Ooh, maybe we'll get Higgins.
That would make me so happy.
Well, but they haven't brought up the son, Junior.
Mm-mm.
They brought up two of his friends, the brother-sister
There's a
duo.
whole bunch of stuff they haven't. We're just not there yet.
Mm-hmm. I'll say so far, I mean, this is the defense's day for me so far.
Hmm. Okay.
Excuse me. Buffy says, Katie McLaughlin said she said it 4 times. Nuttall says she said it 3 times. His prior testimony. That's the first EMT person in the first witness for this trial. Testimony was 2. And Jen McCabe said she said it 3 times because they say everything in 3s. That is also true.
Well, I think she said that Karen said, I hit him, and then was interrupted by Jen saying, calm down or whatever it was she was saying. And then she said it a 3rd time. And then she was asked, what did you say? And then she said the 4th time, I hit him.
Mm.
So, I don't know. I count that as 4, but I don't know if they would count it as 4.
I also know when Nagel testified earlier, I forget what his first name is. He was the brother to Julie
Ryan?
Nagel. Ryan, maybe? Yeah, it's something like that. Nagel, though. When Brennan asked him about the tail lights, he was just like, they were red.
There you go. Hey, we
AJ
don't eat that.
specifically
That's
asked her,
paper.
she said it 4 times, and she said yes. Okay.
Excuse me. Good grief.
Oh my goodness.
Hiccups.
You got the hitch cups. I just want to know if they sent the jury out for 10 minutes, why aren't we hearing anything? I want to hear whatever they're arguing about. I am nosy.
Yeah, I know. You get to hear it every other time.
I know.
Good gracious. Excuse me.
I hope they bring one of the investigators, because I want to hear about this shitty evidence collecting.
I just want a timeline. That's all I'm hoping for at this point. Like, the bar is low, man. Let's see.
Yeah.
We have this timeline from the spreadsheet that Buffy
Mine
found.
too.
That's amazing. But I want to hear it in the trial,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, they
So
better
we'll
give
get
us
one.
one during closing.
They better.
But the problem is, right? There's so many things to factor in from the timeline that if they're just like, oh yeah, Karen hit John at 12:32, they're also not going to put maybe some other things that seem suspicious, like the prosecution's not. It'll be
Fair.
Okay. Exactly, Buffy. Exactly. Oh, by the way, I already switched to my midday Moscato. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't even
I skipped
today.
out on the coffee today, and that was a bad choice.
Oh, I was like, you
So
know what?
enjoy your
It's for both of us,
midday
girl.
Moscato. Thank you very much. When I was at my parents' yesterday, I had mentioned that all I really want carbs. I'd mentioned that all I really want is an espresso martini. And then my dad got up and almost went and made an espresso martini for himself. My mom was like, absolutely not.
In front of you?
She's like, that's rude. I
Oh my
agree.
goodness. Wow.
Oh,
Well, you'll
man.
be getting them all soon. You'll be getting them all soon. Let's see. Pete McLaughlin said it on the stand this time that she told him. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh.
The first paramedic said he heard Karen say she hit him 3 times, but in the first trial, he said Katie. First paramedic. Oh, so this time he said he heard her say it, and last time he said Katie told him. I understand now. Interesting. I feel like they should be pointing out more of these inconsistencies between this trial and the last trial, but I don't know how they can without getting an objection from Bev.
That's
So.
Oh, that she told Nuttall about that, yeah.
All right, so we're bringing the jurors over. I'll see counsel at sidebar.
What were we just doing for the last? I thought we were just at sidebar.
What?
What were we doing for the last 10 minutes, Bev? See, this is why I got a midday Moscato.
She's just taking cat naps at this, like, was it a potty break? Give some information. Good grief.
Oh, man. By the way, I had to, get a heating pad because it's cold. And I had to put, a heating pad on me because my hands have been ice cold all morning. It's only 59 degrees here, so.
Oh, it is 82 degrees.
Oh, wow, really?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah. Good grief.
She's all over the place this trial. Part 2 time. Hey, babes. Hope you're having a great day at work. Brennan probably don't have any witnesses left today. I mean, he did say on Friday that he had a total of 4. Then we had exactly 4 witnesses today, so we'll see. Oh boy. Oh goodness. Everybody do their afternoon stretches. I didn't get a chance to do that during the break. And I also don't have a bouncy ball like some people.
I was on it for the whole first part of the show, so I'm so proud.
Props to you. I don't think I could keep my balance on a bouncy ball.
Good grief. I almost actually lost it 2 times. I thought I was just going to tip. So if you were watching it for the second time and I make the face, that's why.
And you'd be like, help, I can't get up. I can't even roll over.
Oh, no. I told, poor Terry's not here, but I told B about her waterbed story. I felt so bad.
Her what?
When she was pregnant and had
Oh,
the
waterbed.
and she couldn't get out.
I thought you said
I was
water
like-
bread. And I was like,
No.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds gross. Water bed. Okay. My hearing is not great today.
there's Terry.
She's like, I'm here. I'm here. Ooh,
I
get so
said
excited.
Terry, not Siri.
Did your Surrey just...
Yeah.
Hello. That's funny.
My husband felt very bad for you, Terry.
Yeah. When Elbow Feet and I started to get together, he had a waterbed for a while. Was not a fan.
I was always afraid that they would bust or you'd puncture it or blood everything. That
Totally
was
happens.
common.
Court's back in session. You may be seated.
Oh no.
I apologize for that, folks. Nobody likes wasting your time.
You do.
Thank you, Your Honor. Commonwealth calls Paul Gallagher.
Paul. Oh, Paul. No, that's not Trooper Paul, because I think Paul's his last name.
Follow me, please.
Your first name.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely not that guy.
I do.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Oh,
It is Trooper Paul?
All right, Mr. Brennan, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Sir, could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Paul Gallagher,
For the court reporter, would you mind spelling your last name?
Gallagher.
Mr. Gallagher, do you presently work?
As a police officer, I'm retired.
When did you retire?
August 31st, 2024.
When you retired, what department were you working for?
Canton Police Department.
How many years had you worked for the Canton Police Department upon your retirement?
I was credited with 32 years, 8 months of service.
Did you have a particular rank when you retired?
Yes, I was a lieutenant.
I want to go back to the beginning of your law enforcement career and share your background with the jury. When did you begin your career in law enforcement?
I became a permanent intermittent police officer in Canton in 1992. What a permanent intermittent police officer is, it's basically a part-time police officer. You're required to attend a 16-week part-time academy. Your duties include regular patrol duties that a regular police officer would do, but you're only utilized during special events, short staffing, and you're allowed to work paid traffic details.
Did that status change at some point?
It did in 1994.
1994, were you a patrolman?
Yes, and that required me to attend a full-time 18-week police academy.
In addition to the police academy, did you continue your training over the years?
Yes, I did.
Can you share with the jury some of the training that you would attend over the years?
Oh, sure. So I did constitutional law. I did interview and interrogation, terrorism, international terrorism, domestic violence, buccal swabbing, and DEA basic narcotics course. And last duties were I did background checks, so I attended background training, and I did internal affairs.
Before I talk a little bit more about your experience over the years and your progress through the Canton Police Department, I'd like you to share with us generally and briefly the structure of the Canton Police Department. The Canton Police Department, how big is it? How many officers are typically employed by Canton at the same time?
We would like to have 45, but unfortunately, we're short-staffed at this time.
At the Canton Police Department, is there different ranks?
There is.
And what are they?
They are patrol, sergeant, detective sergeant, lieutenant, deputy chief, and chief.
Given the size of Canton, is it a small department or a typically large department for that size?
I would say it's a medium-sized department.
Is Canton, do you receive traffic from other areas nearby?
We do.
Is Boston part of the crossroad through Canton at times?
It is. Route 138 runs from Boston, and it goes all the way down to the South Shore through Brockton, Taunton, et cetera.
Other cities or towns nearby that bring traffic through Canton as far as law enforcement is concerned?
They do, and other states. 95 runs through Canton as well and brings up traffic from Rhode Island.
For a relatively small town, is Canton a busy police department given all the crossroads and intersections?
It can be very busy at times.
You mentioned in Canton that there are different ranks. You started as a patrol officer.
Yes.
Did that change at some point?
It did.
When?
July of 2001, I became a detective.
Did you have any particular or special training to become a detective?
I started attending how to dust for fingerprints. My focus was narcotics. I had several narcotics classes.
Did you engage in those type of investigations on behalf of Canton?
I did.
Did you work with other agencies?
I did in 2005. I started working with the Drug Enforcement Administration in 2006. I was assigned as a task force officer for the DEA, initially out of Worcester Tactical Diversion Squad, which their mission goal was to eradicate OxyContin and oxycodone distribution at that time. It was during our oxycodone phase. In 2008, I was moved to Boston Division, and there we focused on all narcotics, not just oxycodone, heroin, cocaine, etc.
How many years did you spend as a detective before you received your next promotion?
Approximately 15 years.
What happened next in your career as far as progress?
I took the sergeant's exam, and I became a sergeant.
In order to become a sergeant, do you have to pass an exam?
An exam and an assessment, yes.
Is that enough to become a sergeant, or is there another process you have to go through?
That's where they rank you after the exam and the assessment.
What year did you say you became a sergeant?
I became a sergeant in 2017.
Was that your first supervisory position?
Not actually. I also worked as an officer in charge, which you're not technically a sergeant, but when there's no sergeant to fill the shift, they'll use experienced officers to work as a sergeant, and you receive sergeant's pay.
How long did you work as a sergeant for at the Canton Police Department?
I worked as a sergeant for 1 year till 2018, and I was promoted to detective sergeant.
As a sergeant, did your duties change or expand from that of detective?
I was still assigned to the Drug Enforcement Administration at that time.
And you just shared a year later you were promoted to lieutenant. Did you have to take and pass an exam for that?
That was detective sergeant, and I did not have to pass a test for that.
Did your duties and responsibilities expand when you became lieutenant?
Yes, I was brought out of the DEA to work in Canton specifically.
Were there other lieutenants on the Canton Police Department when you worked as a lieutenant?
I became a lieutenant in 2021. At the time, there was 3 other lieutenants.
Were there any other officers above lieutenant at that point?
There was a deputy chief and a chief.
In 2022, January, were you a lieutenant?
I was.
Your duties and responsibilities, do they include actually going to scenes, or was it purely supervisory?
It was supervisory, but we were expected to respond to scenes.
What do you mean by that?
Our chief expected a supervisor on scene at all times, at all scenes.
Even if there was a ranking supervisor like a sergeant, were you still as a lieutenant expected to go to scenes?
Oh, yes.
Did you do that often?
Yes.
I want you to take us to January 29th, 2022. Were you working the overnight shift from January 28, 2022 into January 29, 2022?
I was the outgoing lieutenant. I did not work into the 29th. I was the last lieutenant to work on the 28th.
In the early morning hours, around 6 a.m., were you on shift or off shift?
I was off shift.
Were you planning on working that morning?
I was planning on working later that day, yes.
Do you remember what the weather was like that early morning?
Yes, there was a nor'easter, which was snow, wind.
Did anything interrupt your plan of working later that day?
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
Shortly after 6 a.m., I received a call from Sergeant Sean Good of the Canton Police Department.
After you received a call from Sergeant Sean Good, were you informed about a situation?
I was.
Were you told any basic details of where and what?
Yes.
Without sharing the actual conversation, where was this situation taking place?
I misunderstood the situation. I thought it was on Meadows Ave in Canton. I later found out through dispatch that it was actually Fairview Road.
When you heard that there was a situation in Canton, did you decide to change your plans about when you would come in?
Yes, I responded.
Why did you respond?
That's the expectation our chief had for us.
When you go into work, do you use a police cruiser or do you use your personal vehicle?
On this particular day, I used a personal vehicle because of the weather.
Was that different than typical?
Yes.
And why would you use a personal vehicle instead of a police cruiser?
It was larger. It was 4-wheel drive. It was the only way I probably would have got there to the scene.
After you received the call about a situation, tell us what you did.
I loaded up the car with a tent, and I drove to the Canton Police Department, and I got some winter gear from the office, and I got on the radio and advised Sergeant Sean Good, who was at the scene on Fairview, that all officers were held to further notice.
What does that mean?
They weren't going to be going home at their end of the shift until they were relieved by another supervisor.
Why did you take a tent with you?
Because of the snow, the way the call was described to me was a person possibly not breathing. And if it was an unattended death, I wanted to be able to cover the person.
Why?
Respect.
That tent was a tent from your home, a personal tent?
It was an 8x8 pop-up tent.
You went to the Canton Police Department first before you went to the scene.
I did.
Why did you go to the Canton Police Department first?
I had some winter gear there, including a reflective jacket that I thought would be helpful, given it was dark out. Visibility was very bad.
When you got to the Canton Police Department, did you learn anything from any of your colleagues while at the police department?
The only one colleague at the police department at that time was Officer Kelly Dever.
Okay. After you got your gear at the Canton Police Department, did you head towards Fairview?
I did.
Other than the general description that you had heard, did you know anything about what was going on there?
Just that a gentleman was found unconscious in the snow, possibly not breathing.
You mentioned the term unintended death. What does that mean?
An unattended death is a death where someone dies alone, and you don't know the reason. It doesn't mean there's foul play. In fact, 99% of the time, it's natural causes.
Is there a process for the Canton Police Department when they learn of any death, unintended or not? Is there a process you need to follow?
Yes, there is.
And what is that process?
That's to call the Norfolk County DA's office, their CPAC unit, Crime Prevention and Control. They have jurisdictions over deaths and unattended deaths.
You mentioned a CPAC unit. What type of officers or law enforcement is the CPAC unit?
It's manned by the Massachusetts State Police.
Are you required by statute to contact CPAC or the Massachusetts State Police, even if it's an unintended death?
Yes.
Did you follow that process?
Sergeant Lank followed that process.
Is that one of the officers who worked under you?
Yes, that is correct.
Did you know if Sergeant Lank was at the scene when you were leaving Canton, or did you learn at some point when you got there whether Sergeant Lank was at Fairview?
When I got there, I saw the black Toyota Tundra, which is operated by our detectives there, and then I saw him.
When the Canton Police Department first contacted the Massachusetts State Police or the CPAC unit about the information, do you have an understanding whether or not the Massachusetts State Police were going to respond or not?
They were not responding.
So when you got to Fairview Road, were there any other law enforcement officers other than Canton police officers?
No, there was not.
When you appeared at Fairview Road or arrived, were you the superior officer on the scene?
I was highest ranking officer.
As you're pulling up to Fairview that morning, what's the first thing you see when you get there?
As I pull up, I see the last of the fire apparatus pulling away. I get out of the vehicle. The first one I encountered was Sergeant Sean Good, who was the shift supervisor.
Did you see any other of your officers there?
I did. I saw Lieutenant Lank further down, and further down I saw two other cruisers, which ended up being Officer Mullaney and Officer Sarif.
Did any of the cruisers or vehicles have lights on?
They did.
Did you hear any sirens?
No, there wouldn't be any sirens.
Why wouldn't there be?
Sirens are used to move traffic. There was no traffic. It was a blizzard. There were no cars on the road. You might see an occasional plow.
Did you ever learn the general area where the person was found?
Yes,
At that time, did you know who the person was?
I did. I knew him by name, yes.
Did someone inform you of who the person was?
Sergeant Sean Good did, yes.
Okay. And who was the person that you learned was on the ground?
John O'Keefe.
Had you known John O'Keefe?
I knew of John O'Keefe. I had never met John O'Keefe.
When you first arrived at Fairview, was Mr. O'Keefe still on the ground?
He was not.
Was he at the scene?
He was not.
So when you got to the scene at Fairview, Mr. O'Keefe was already gone?
Yes, he had been transported to the hospital.
And a look at Mr. O'Keefe. Did you have a chance to look in the general area where you were told he was found?
I did.
Tell us a little bit more about the weather now that you're standing outside Fairview Road. What's the visibility like? What's the temperature like? What are the conditions like?
So it was terrible. It was blizzard-like. The wind would blow in your face. It would change directions. The
it a
snow was
blizzard?
an icy snow. In the wind, you had to actually talk loud to be heard. Somebody right next to you, and it was your typical New England blizzard, basically.
At this point, did you have any position as you assessed the area, whether this was a criminal investigation?
When we had no crime at that time,
When you were there, were you looking for anything?
yes, I was examining the scene.
Okay. At that point, did you have any reason to start a criminal investigation?
Not at that time, no.
When you learned that Mr. O'Keefe was found outside, did you go look at the particular area?
Yes.
Can you describe the area that was shown to you where Mr. O'Keefe was found?
Sure. It was on the left side of the property of 34 Fairview. You could see where first responders and witnesses and police officers had walked up to the area. It was by a flagpole on the property line of number 32 Fairview.
What was the lighting condition at that point in that area?
It was dark. It was sun was coming up, but due to the weather and the cloud cover and the snow, its visibility still was not great.
Were the law enforcement vehicles providing any light for the area?
No.
How about the house? Was there any bright lights coming out of the house illuminating that area?
I didn't see any lights, window lights on. There may have been an exterior, the door light at one or two houses.
In addition to the law enforcement officers that were there, did you see any civilians when you got there?
No, there were no civilians there.
While you were outside looking at the area, did any civilians ever come out?
No, not at all.
Any civilians ever come out of 34 Fairview?
No,
How about next door, 32 Fairview? Did you ever see any civilians come out of that address?
nobody ever came out of the house.
Across the street, is there homes across the street from 34 Fairview?
There is.
Did you see anybody come out of either one of those houses?
Did not see anybody come out of those houses.
When you were outside and you were shown the area where you were told Mr. O'Keefe was found, did you try to do anything regarding that area to identify the area itself?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Yes. The area where you were told Mr. O'Keefe was found, did you try to do anything around that area to identify the area?
Well, it was marked out with crime scene tape at that time, and what I saw was pink blood, and it was in a circular pattern.
Was the crime scene tape holding up at all?
No, it was not. It was blowing wildly in the wind, and at one point, it was actually blowing in. It was triangular, and it was actually blowing into the crime scene.
Was the tape helping at all?
No, it was not.
Was there any use of putting a tent up at that point?
No, there wasn't, not due to the high winds.
Did you learn whether any of the officers had, at any point before you got there, gone into Fairview Road?
Yes.
Who did you learn went into Fairview Road?
Both Sergeant Good and Detective Sergeant Lake went into Fairview Road.
Did you know how long they were inside for?
Oh, did you know that?
I did not.
At that point, did you go and speak to anybody in any of the nearby homes?
I did not.
When you were at this scene and you saw what was happening in the weather, did you make a decision to do anything?
Yes.
What did you decide you were going to do?
Since the state police were not responding, I decided to process the area where Mr. O'Keefe was found and try to find out why he had the medical episode he was having.
If you understood this to be a medical episode, and at that point you didn't have any information it was a crime scene, why were you taking the time and effort to process the scene under these conditions?
Because that's what we do. Even the hospital, there could be a reason that there's obviously a reason he's there. I think we had a duty and obligation to check around where he was found and see if there was any explanation to what caused his medical condition.
Did you focus on a particular area when you decided to look around?
I did.
What area were you going to look at?
Where it was pointed out he was found and where the blood pattern was.
Were you thinking about looking in any other areas around that?
Not at that time.
Why not?
We didn't have any reason to. We only had the area where he was found.
And at that point, did you have any idea what caused his injuries?
We had none.
At this point, when you were pointed or you're looking at the area where Mr. O'Keefe was found, was the area getting covered up at all?
Yes, it was.
With what?
Snow.
How quickly?
Very quickly. I believe it was forecasted to come down to 1 to 2 inches an hour, if I recall.
Did you have any idea how hard the ground was at that point?
It was frozen.
No, did you have any idea?
It was frozen.
I'll allow it.
How deep was the snow covering that frozen ground?
Approximately 4 inches at that time.
When you wanted to look around the area, did you consider using a rake or a shovel?
I did.
And did you?
I did not.
Why didn't you use a shovel at that point?
I was afraid I would miss something or possibly break something.
What could you break with a shovel?
Anything, glass or anything of that nature.
What was your decision about how you would search that area? What did you want to see?
I wanted to see anything that was possible, whether it was any type of weapon or any type of medical bottle or any reason that he could have come to where he was.
Did you think of a way that you could look below the top of the snow without unresting the scene?
Yes, I did.
And what did you conclude?
Because of the blood, the pink spots I thought might be blood, I thought a leaf blower would be the best method because I have seen it used and to remove light layers of snow, and it can be controlled.
And after having seen that before and making that decision, what was the benefit of a leaf blower over a shovel?
I wasn't going to miss anything with a leaf blower, much better control.
But wouldn't that
And
blow
control,
the
tell us
blood
what your
snow
intention,
around?
what was your hope with the leaf blower?
To clear the area, controlled, slowly, so any potential evidence of what happened to Mr. O'Keefe wouldn't be lost.
Did you have a leaf blower with you?
Did not.
So what did you do?
Sergeant Good volunteered to go get a leaf blower.
Did you remain at the scene?
I did.
And during this time, you still have no information that it's a crime scene?
We had no information on a crime at that time.
Did Sergeant Good come back with the leaf blower?
He did.
Did you try to get any other items to help you?
Not that I recall.
Okay. When Sergeant Good came back with the leaf blower, did you use it?
I did.
Was it successful?
Very.
Tell us what you did.
I started with low speed and began whisking away the snow. And then I saw how it was uncovering those pink spots, were becoming brighter red. So I verified it was frozen or coagulated blood at that time. And so out of the abundance of caution, I decided that that was something we may want to collect.
Why did you want to collect that?
Just out of abundance of caution, DNA, I expected it to be John's DNA. And I wasn't going to get a second chance at it. It was either collect it or never have it.
Were you making quick decisions under these circumstances?
Yes.
Did you ask somebody to get a container to put the coagulated blood in?
Here we go.
I ended up getting the containers.
Where did you get them from?
I got them from Lieutenant Kelleher, who lived in the neighborhood.
Did Lieutenant Kelleher ever come over to the scene?
He did not.
Did he work for the Canton Police Department?
He did.
Why didn't he come over to the scene with you?
Because he originally thought the scene was at 32.
Did you ask him to come over to the scene to help you?
No.
Did you expect him to come over to help you?
No.
Did you prefer he not?
Correct.
So when you get the containers, were they plastic cups?
Yes, they were red Solo cups.
And what was the purpose of using the red Solo cups?
They were plastic. They weren't going to leak. They weren't going to get soggy. They were large. I needed a small sample. My thought was because it was frozen or coagulated, that we could collect it, transport it, and transfer it to the crime lab, who could extract the DNA however they saw best fit.
Does sometimes the crime lab test evidence and sometimes not?
Of course, yes.
Is that your decision?
No,
You were telling us about the leaf blower. Does it serve to excavate the area?
it did.
Did you begin that process?
I did.
And when you did that, did you try to memorialize it?
Yes, I did.
How did you do that?
I had Sergeant Good videotape it.
Why did you have Sergeant Good memorialize your efforts to excavate the area?
I thought someone may wonder why I decided to use a leaf blower, so I wanted to demonstrate its effectiveness.
I'm going to move to introduce 2 videos that council has.
So there's no objection to these videos, right?
No objection.
Exhibit 51.
Thank you.
No, but I'm ready to see it.
With the court's permission, can I show the jury the videos?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, can we show number 1, please?
It doesn't look very snowy out right now.
So nobody else found this before the leaf blower was brought out.
Could you
So did they
Ms. Gilman,
leaf
stop at
blow
the
the
end of the
whole-
video so it's a still frame?
Stupid.
Maybe I'm a little confused at what
That's good right
time
there.
this happened.
Sir, who's the person holding the leaf blower?
That is me.
Did the leaf blower work as you had hoped?
I don't
It
see
was great.
dates.
You see other footprints around that area.
Correct.
Do you know how those footprints got there?
Some of them were from first responders. Some of them were for witnesses. The ones up top by the flagpole were for when the officers put out the crime scene tape.
Did officers try to wrap the crime scene tape around the flagpole?
They did wrap it around the flagpole, yes.
I see. And from that vantage point, could you see the side and front yard?
Yes.
Did the side yard have any footprints or evidence that anything was dragged through the side yard?
No, not at all.
How about the front yard? Did the front yard have any evidence that anybody had walked across it or dragged anything across it?
It had one set of prints from Sergeant Lank.
Other than Sergeant Lang's footprints across the front yard, was there any other impediment?
No, not that I saw.
I'm going to ask if we could see the second video, please, Ms. Gilman. Could you stop there, please? You see the end of the leaf blower?
I do.
There's an object just below it at like 7 o'clock. Do you see that?
I do.
Did you discover something in that area?
We did.
What did you discover?
It's a cocktail glass.
Was it, did it have any damage to it?
It did.
Describe that for us.
It was broken on the top.
Could you continue the video, please, Ms. Gilman? Stop, please. There's some red spots. Is that what you identified as coagulated blood?
That is.
Below some of those spots and to the left, there's an area that's not white. It's brownish. Do you know what that is?
That's, I believe, just bare ground.
If we could finish the video, please. Okay. Thank you. Could you have the lights on, please? Did you or any officer at your direction obtain and preserve that broken cocktail glass?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
It's not that deep.
So I'm showing you two photographs. The first photograph, do you recognize what's in that photograph?
I do.
What is it?
It's a, after we exposed the broken, I exposed the broken glass.
Is the broken glass depicted in that photograph?
Yeah, it is.
Is that similar or substantially the same way it appeared to you that morning?
That's exactly how it appeared, yes.
Do you know if that photograph was taken as a still image of the video or not?
I do not.
Okay. Second photograph, can you take a look at that,
That's a close-up of the cocktail glass.
of the same photo?
It is, yes.
I'd move these two photographs into evidence, please.
Okay. Do you want it to be 52 and 52A?
Please, Your Honor.
Should be clear, right? But they don't know.
I think it's 52 and 52A.
I mean, wouldn't
Lieutenant,
it?
what was done with that cocktail glass?
It was bagged and seized as evidence.
Was it brought anywhere that morning?
It was brought back to Canton Police Headquarters.
What happens when it gets back to Canton Police Headquarters?
It gets logged into evidence, and it's assigned an evidence number. The officer types in a description of the item. In this case, it was a broken cocktail glass or broken glass. And once he hits the space bar, it automatically generates a property number for it. And I believe in this case, it was 22-18-PR, which means 22 is the year, 2022. 18 is how many pieces of evidence the department as a whole had collected that year so far. And PR, I believe, means property room.
Why is it assigned a particular number?
Everything is assigned a number by the computer.
You said it's brought to the evidence room. Is that a separate or a special place?
So we have two rooms. We have a temporary evidence room, and then there's a permanent evidence room. Only two people have access to the permanent evidence room.
Is there a reason why access to the evidence room is limited?
There is,
Why?
for security.
Even in a police department, the evidence room is limited as far as people who have access?
That is correct.
In the evidence room, is there an officer assigned as an evidence officer?
Not full-time. There is an assigned admin sergeant who is assigned as the evidence officer.
Does anything happen specifically with the evidence? Is it packaged or stored in any particular way?
The glass was put into a locker, I believe, and temporary evidence. And then it's the evidence sergeant's job to retrieve it. But in this case, we were going to transfer it to the state police.
Was it transferred to the state police at some point?
It was.
I'll allow it.
Were you part of the transition of that item to the state police?
I was.
And when was it transitioned and to who?
It was on February 1st, 2022, and it was to a criminalist from
You know
the
who-
Massachusetts State Crime Lab.
Do you know who the criminalist was?
I don't know the name, no.
Did the criminalist come to your department, or did you bring the item to them?
They came to our department.
In addition to the glass, there was plastic cups with coagulated blood.
That's correct.
What did you do with those cups?
Those were placed in temporary evidence and placed in a refrigerated unit.
To carry them from Fairview to the police department, did you hold the actual cups or did you put them in something?
Nope, they were stacked in a bag.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow it.
What type of bag?
It was a craft paper bag. In this particular case, we utilized the Stop and Shop bag.
Is that any different than a bag from the police department?
This made of the same paper, craft paper, the same size and dimension, other than Stop and Shop and evidence and probably price. They're basically the same bag.
Why did you use one of those rather than a bag that said evidence on it?
I don't know where that bag came from. I was in a personal car. Sergeant Lank was in a Tundra. If that bag is upside down, you wouldn't know it didn't say evidence on it. So I'm not sure where that bag came from.
And the plastic cups, do you know what happened to those?
It wasn't even snowing that
Yes,
hard.
they were turned over to the criminalists as well.
Where did you store them before they were turned over to the criminals?
Temporary evidence in a refrigerator.
I'm going along with.
Temporary evidence in a refrigerator.
Is the refrigerator part of the temporary evidence area?
It is, yes.
Did you bring that piece of evidence, the broken glass, with you today?
Yes.
With the court's permission, I'd like to approach the witness. Handing you a box, gloves, and some scissors. Let me ask you about that box. It has red tape on it. Why?
It's a secure and transfer of custody.
I'm going along.
Okay. As I said in the chat, my thought was you have 3 people around his body doing CPR, mouth to mouth. Karen's fucking climbing all over his body or whatever. There's broken, allegedly, shards of plastic from the taillight and bar glass. And none of the ladies get cut by any of this when apparently it's everywhere. Because remember, there was a little bit of snow on the ground, but it still should have happened. Still should have happened if it was all there. I don't see how it didn't. I mean, it's sharp surfaces.
Ooh, I'm just not over where in the timeline did it get found? I mean, obviously, we're beating a dead horse with the whole timeline thing, but like, how many people that night were there? How many people the next day were there? And nobody found it, but this magic leaf blower, uncovered it? Or somebody all of a sudden saw a piece then decided?
Yeah, I think this was well after John's been declared dead, cut by the daylight. Plus, as you can see, there was not snow and shit blowing everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, at all. It seemed very calm. As somebody who lives in the north, it seemed very calm.
And it didn't look like
Also,
that much
everything is
snow on the ground.
cold. Everything is cold and frozen. So the sense of urgency, I don't quite understand. You can literally stand there for 10 or 15 minutes while somebody runs down to the police station. They had time to go run and get a leaf blower, but you don't have time to run and collect proper evidence things. And why would you just put it in a bag? Okay, so they put it in a brown paper bag, then put it in their trunk during a blizzard, which means what? They had the heaters on in that vehicle. Did they put it in a cooler and then bring it? Or was the cooler at the police station? I'm a little confused about, because they did mention cooler, but I don't know if cooler means the same to them as it does to me.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Bells and Shunka.
Mm-hmm.
With the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's only a few inches of snow on the ground, guys. That is not very much snow. That is not very much snow at all in the slightest. And when you're putting your weight, because you're on your knees doing chest compressions, all right, and there's glass there, guess what's going to happen? The glass is going to go through your pants and cut you from the weight of you.
Miss it.
No. It's all over. Okay, so I'm sorry. Lady in Gray says they set that paper bag on the floor of the Sally port where it's warm. And honestly, I don't know. The blood would be so watered down because it would be in snow. I don't even know how valuable it would be, to be quite honest with you. But still, what? I don't see why you couldn't wait a few minutes. If the leaf blower is working good enough for you to uncover it, and you wait 10 or 15 minutes and some more snow covers it, then the leaf blower should still push it away to make you happy enough to then collect it in proper containers. But what do I know? I guess I'm not a police officer. Wow.
I'm not sure they are either.
Wow.
The cups weren't covered either, so no evidence was properly collected.
You all been waiting for
FBI.
this. I'm so angry right now. Good thing I
Lieutenant,
got
before you open the box,
my Moscato.
were you one of the officers that discovered that broken glass?
Yes.
Did you personally bring the glass from Fairview to Canton?
No.
Do you know who did?
Yes.
Who?
Detective Sergeant Lang.
Sergeant Lang?
Yes.
When you went back to the station,
Evidence.
you said that the evidence was then put into an evidence locker. Did you place it in the evidence locker?
I don't recall.
And then inevitably, it was transitioned to somebody from the forensic unit?
That's correct.
Were you personally there when it was taken from the evidence locker and given to the person from the forensic unit?
Yes, that was me.
Did you have a responsibility and role in that process, or were you a passive observer?
I had an active role. I was the chain of custody. I was turning it over to the criminalist, to the state police lab.
After that glass was given to the criminalist, did you ever have possession of it again?
Never.
Did you ever package it or touch it again in any way?
No, never.
Did you ever process it in any way?
No.
Did
That's
you
not.
put it in that box and tape it up yourself?
No.
Okay, I'm going to now ask you to open the box, please.
It's a big box. Look at it in a proper evidence container. Oh my goodness. Why is it in such a big box?
I do appreciate all the duct tape, though.
Is there an item in that bag?
There is.
Would you please open the bag and show us what's in that bag?
Oh, a broken.
Thank you. If you could put it back in the
Clear
bag and the
glass.
bag back in the box, please.
This clear broken glass that's not taillight.
Right, because this glass and stuff is right
Lieutenant
around his
Gallagher, does
body,
that
right?
appear to be
Chad?
the same
Yeah.
item that you found in the area where John O'Keefe was at Fairview that morning?
Yes, it does.
I'd like to have the box and the item marked for identification, please.
Okay. Like you're telling me he got hit by a car, okay? His phone, his body, all these missing taillight pieces, and this broken cup, glass, all found in the same spot.
All right there. Lie
don't
to me
understand.
some more.
When you were looking
don't
around the
understand.
area that was pointed out to you as where John O'Keefe was found, did you expand across the front lawn into the street during your search?
No, we didn't, with the exception of uncovering the 6-foot asphalt berm.
Did you say 6 foot or is it?
Excuse me, 6-inch.
What's a berm?
It's it's basically a curbing, but it's made of asphalt. It's curved. You probably have seen it. It's asphalt. It's curved. It separates the street from property line.
Why did you clear that piece?
Wanted to see. We were trying to find out why John was having a medical issue, and we didn't know if he could have tripped over a curbing, or what turned out to be an asphalt berm and possibly hit his head.
After you made efforts to look in that area, did you return to the Canton Police Department?
I did.
About what time?
It was shortly after 8 a.m.
After you returned to the Canton Police Department, did you receive any information or have a reason to return back to Fairview?
Yes,
About what time?
a little after 9 o'clock.
Why did you go back to Fairview after 9 o'clock?
Sergeant Lank got a phone call that Jen McCabe had more information
And where did you understand Mrs. McCabe was?
at 34 Fairview.
Did you go back to 34 Fairview?
I did.
Did you go with anybody?
I went with Sergeant Lank
Did you travel together or separate?
together.
When you got back to 34 Fairview, outside, what did you do?
We parked in the driveway. We walked up, and next to the garage, there's a side door. I don't know if we rang the bell or knocked, but Brian Albert, the homeowner, answered the door.
As you walked up to the door, did you have a chance to look around at the doors in the area in front of that side door?
Yes.
Did you see anything out of place?
No.
You've been a police officer at that point for a long time.
Yes.
Do you receive any training in observing areas of people?
Always.
What type of training? What are you told to look for when you're speaking to people?
I've been BOSAR trained, which is behavioral observation, suspicious activity training, and you look for clues when you're speaking to people. Whether they cross their legs, cross their arms, there's certain behavioral characteristics.
At this point, did you have any understanding that this would later be a crime scene?
I did, yes.
What happened?
Can
How
you-
did you come to that conclusion?
Oh, not at that time.
Oh, not at that time?
No,
Okay.
not at that time.
When you went into the house, what part of the house did you go into?
I went into the room. It's adjacent to the kitchen, and I stood there with Brian Albert.
Can you describe what kind of room that would be?
Yeah, it was just a typical family room type room. It was not large. It was between the garage and the kitchen.
You met with Brian Albert?
Brian Albert answered the door and let us into the house.
Did you understand what his relationship was to that house?
He was the homeowner.
Did Sergeant Lank walk in with you?
He did.
Did he stay in that living area?
No, he went to the kitchen area and sat down with Jen McCabe.
Could you see the kitchen area from where you were?
I could see a portion of the kitchen area.
Did you see anybody else in the kitchen area with Mrs. McCabe and Sergeant Lank?
There were people in the kitchen area. There was nobody with Sergeant Lank or Miss McCabe.
Could you hear their conversation?
No,
Were you trying to listen?
no,
Were you speaking to Mr. Albert?
I was.
Did you take the time to make observations of him?
Objection on it.
I'll allow it.
Did you take the time to make observations of him?
Yes,
Did you speak to him?
yes,
Did he speak to you?
yes.
Was there anything about his mannerisms or affect that caused you any concern?
No, it was just a social conversation. There was nothing of concern at all.
Was there anything about it that caused you to hone in or be concerned?
No,
I'll allow that.
no.
Did you get a chance to look around that living area at the
Sure.
items?
I didn't look around, just with my eyes.
Did you get to see that area?
I did.
Did you see anything broken or looked out of place?
No, nothing.
Anything that caused you any type of concern?
Nothing.
When you looked towards the kitchen, did you see anything that looked different or suspicious in any way?
Nothing.
Was the interaction, did it cause you any alarm or concerns?
No.
After Sergeant Lank had an opportunity to speak to Mrs. McCabe and you spoke to Brian Albert, what did you do next?
We left.
Where did you go?
We went back to the police department and were informed that the state police were going to respond to the hospital and that we didn't need to respond to the hospital.
When you heard that the state police was then going to get involved in the investigation, what does Canton do when the state police takes over an investigation?
Well, it was based off of a conversation I had with my chief in the detective sergeant's office.
Was there a decision about Canton's involvement in the ongoing investigation?
There was.
What was that decision?
That we should recuse ourselves from any further investigative interviews.
And why was that?
Because our best detective, his name was Kevin Albert, and he was the brother of the homeowner, and I didn't want any potential bias, whether unconscious or subjective, to be perceived by the O'Keefe's, by the O'Keefe family.
So when the state police got involved and you had the conversation with the chief, was that the end of your efforts towards this?
It was the end of our efforts until, I helped facilitate during the search warrant on February 1st.
And so at some point, was the defendant's Lexus brought to the Canton Police Department?
It was.
Was it put in a particular area at the Canton Police Department?
It was.
What area?
The Sally Port.
What's a Sally Port?
Sally Port is where, when we have an arrest, we bring our prisoners in. It's basically a extra large garage. It has 4 doors. They're numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. We typically go in door 4 and pull towards door 3. Door 4 is lowered, and then prisoners are walked into the booking area, which is also secure. The exterior doors to the Sally Port can only be opened by the dispatch council.
When crime scene services came to look at the car, was that the same day, the 29th, or later time?
No, it was February 1st.
Did the Lexus remain in the Sallyport area from the 29th until February 1st?
Yes.
When representatives from the crime lab from the Massachusetts State Police came on February 1st, who provided them access to the Lexus?
I was one of the people there that was there. I don't know if I provided them direct access, but I certainly would have. And I assisted them if they needed things. That's when the chain of custody, the exchange of custody for the blood samples and the glass occurred as well.
And during their processing of the Lexus, were you there for parts of it?
I was in and out, yes, but I did not partake.
Thank you very much.
Please. Mr. Jackson, is this video up there yours, or is it the Commonwealth's?
Not mine. Or is it? May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher, you have already established that you were at the scene on January 29th, early morning, January 29th, 2022. We've seen the video of the leaf blower, correct?
That is correct.
So you were integral to at least an initial search of the scene, which recovered the drinking glass that you've shown us, as well as some of the blood byproduct that you've talked about.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. You were the ranking person on the scene. You've already described that.
Yes, that is correct.
There were also several other officers from Canton PD who were there with you.
Yes, there was 4 other officers, yes.
Can you just name those other officers?
Yeah, Detective Sergeant Lank, Lank, Detective Sergeant Good, Goode, Officer Mullaney, Mullaney, and Officer Saraf, Saraf.
Okay. When you initially, let me back up and ask a different question. Given the fact that you were the ranking officer, the way that it works in a police department is everybody sort of reports up the chain of command, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So they would have all reported up to you in some particular.
That's correct.
And then, of course, you report to I think you're the deputy chief, and then the deputy chief reports on up to the chief, correct?
That is correct.
You were involved in not only the exposing of some of that blood byproduct, but also exposing the glass with the leaf blower, correct?
That is correct.
You were responsible for utilizing certain equipment. You chose a leaf blower at the time, correct?
I did, yes.
There was also, I'm guessing, there was also some use of your hands and or the gloved hands with some others to recover some of the items.
Yeah, I didn't use my hands. No.
How did you get the glass into a bag?
That was Detective Sergeant Lank.
Somebody had to pick it up, right?
Correct.
That's what I mean. The use of hands to manipulate some of the evidence, correct?
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't understand that question.
That's okay.
I thought you were speaking about me.
Probably my fault, not yours.
Nope, that's okay.
There was also some plastic cups that we've talked about. We'll talk more about those in a second. Those were utilized as well, correct?
You were, yes.
And you were responsible for the use of those as well.
Yes, it was
So,
my decision, yes.
In terms of the search of the scene, the recovery of evidence, the recovery of biological material, the use of tools to recover those biological materials, all of that rested at least ultimately at the scene on your shoulders, correct?
Yes, it did.
Isn't it true that you weren't interviewed in this case with regard to anything having to do with this case until April 3rd, 2024, correct?
Yes, we can call it an interview. It's when I met with the prosecutor, yes.
And that was about 2.5 years, nearly 2.5 years after this incident, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Michael Proctor, you know that name.
I do.
Who is Michael Proctor?
He was one of the troopers assigned to investigate the case.
As a matter of fact, he was the lead investigator for the case, correct?
I don't know if he was lead or trooper mechanic. I don't know.
As you sit here, you don't know that Michael Proctor was the lead case agent for...
I know he was one of them, yes.
Okay.
Excuse
do you
me?
know that he was the lead investigator assigned to the case?
I don't. I had nothing to do with the DA's office.
Right. I know you didn't have...
I don't know how they assign their cases, counsel. I don't know what you want me to say. I can't say what I don't know.
Mr. Gallagher, I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking if...
I did not know he was lead. I knew he was one of the leads.
Okay.
I believe they do it in a tandem, but I'm not sure.
Okay. He may have had a partner, correct?
That is correct, yes.
But it's not unusual to have a lead case agent, the person who's responsible for most of the search warrant writing and the memorialization of documentation of evidence collection and the movement of evidence and booking into evidence, things like that.
That is correct, but I don't know anything about who wrote their affidavits or who logged their evidence in. I wouldn't know that.
You're also familiar with Yuri Buchanan, correct?
I know who he is.
You're also familiar with Lieutenant Tully.
I know, yes.
They're all Massachusetts State Police officers, correct?
Yes, they all are.
Did
yes.
Michael Proctor interview you before April of 2024?
She's looking at
He
Jackson.
did not.
Did Yuri Buchanan interview you before April of 2024?
No, he did
Did
not.
Lieutenant Tully interview you before April of 2024?
No, he did not.
Did anybody else from the Canton Police Department, your deputy chief or the chief, interview you formally about your conduct and responsibilities before April of 2024?
I don't understand that question.
Did anybody at Canton PD, separating out Massachusetts State Police,
Correct.
did you sit down at Canton PD and provide an interview with anybody at Canton PD about your conduct at the scene?
What do you mean by conduct?
Going to the scene, collecting evidence, securing evidence, transporting evidence, booking evidence, those kinds of things. Your conduct at the scene, sir.
Yeah, I briefed my superiors, yes.
Okay, other than briefing, was there a formal report written
No,
or a formal interview conducted of you?
no, absolutely not.
Okay. Tell us when you wrote your report about what happened at the scene, memorializing what you did at the scene.
I didn't.
You didn't write a report?
Normal.
About the scene that day at the scene?
Correct, about this investigation.
I only did the metadata report. I did not write a report at the scene.
You never, in fact, the fact is you never wrote any report about what happened at the scene, correct?
Correct.
You didn't memorialize that in any formal way on Canton PD letterhead to describe what you did and how you did it at the scene.
No.
That's wild.
Normally, when you report to a scene as a first responder, you would be expected to write a report about that, whatever that conduct is.
I'm not the supervisor, no.
What if you're the ranking person at a scene that ultimately turns into a homicide scene?
Well, we don't know it's a homicide scene at this time. We don't even know there's a crime committed at this time. My
Understood.
responsibilities are to make sure reports are written, not to necessarily write the reports myself. I'm the supervisor. It's
Although-
my job to
Everybody
make
has to
sure
write a
reports
report
are
by him.
written, evidence is logged, those types of things.
Under ordinary circumstances, you would respond to a scene as a supervisor, and you would oversee what other people are doing, what your
That's
subordinate-
correct.
Can I finish?
Sure.
I don't want to talk over each other.
I apologize.
You would want a supervisor oversee what your subordinate officers, whatever he or she might be doing or they might be doing, you're going to oversee that. But they're the ones actually conducting the investigation or picking up evidence or doing the interviews and writing those things of that nature.
Correct. Detective Sergeant Lake's investigation, yes.
So in that circumstance, you
Why?
would be expected to write a report because all of that conduct is memorialized by others subordinate to the supervisor, correct?
Correct.
Always.
But in this case, quite the opposite happened. You were the one that was in the video utilizing the leaf blower,
Sorry for the
correct?
noise. Of
That's correct.
You were the one that actually exposed the drinking glass, correct?
Correct, yes.
You noted the drinking glass and actually called somebody else over to take a look at it, correct?
That's correct.
You directed someone, Sergeant Lang, to pick up the drinking glass and recover it as a potential piece of evidence, correct?
That is correct.
You noted the blood or the coagulation of blood in and around that area, correct?
That is correct.
You noted where you believe the drinking glass was, in other words, what location, if there were grid coordinates, where it would be, correct?
Correct.
And you instructed others to transport that important evidence back to Canton PD to have it booked, correct?
That is correct.
You also secured the plastic containers in which to to recover the blood.
That is
right?
correct.
You also directed someone to get a bag to put the plastic containers in and ultimately transport it, correct?
That is correct.
So you would agree with me, Mr. Gallagher, that in this circumstance, you were the centerpiece of the recovery of evidence and the investigation as it was at that time in that limited context. You were the centerpiece of what was happening at the scene, correct?
And I made sure it was documented by Detective Sergeant Lang.
But you didn't find it important enough to write a report yourself.
I think that's poor misrepresentation. There's a person fighting for their life. It was very important.
Fighting for
When you were there at the scene at, what
Okay.
time was it, by the way?
I got there shortly after 7.
Okay, you knew that that person who was fighting for his life had already been transported and was in good care, as best care we can provide at Good Samaritan Hospital, correct?
That is correct.
So certainly you're not excusing away the idea that you didn't memorialize your conduct because you were too busy fighting for someone's life. That's not what you're saying.
No, definitely not what I'm
Okay.
saying.
It's noisy in the kitchen, you guys.
Obviously, reporting to a scene and supervising a scene is one thing, but actually gathering evidence is a whole next level. You would agree with that?
Sure.
Because, just to put a fine point on it, responding to a scene as a supervisor, you want to make sure everybody's doing their duty, but the officer or officers who, for instance, uncover, let's say it's a knife or a gun or some weapon or something like that, actually documenting and picking up that evidence and handling it up in an appropriate way, that is all highly, highly technical. It's very important to get it right and memorialize it all, correct?
That is correct.
That's why you're highly trained
I can't
to
wait.
memorialize and report everything that you do in that regard in a report that can later be used forensically, in other words, in a courtroom setting, to
Not when we're
recreate
live,
as
Sean.
best you can with as much detail as you can exactly what you did and how you did it and where it was done, correct?
Sure. Yes.
Officer Lank wrote a report in this case.
Sure.
Did Officer Mullaney?
I believe he did, yes.
Did Officer Seraph?
Yes.
Officer Good? Sergeant
Yes.
Good?
Yes,
But you did not.
I did not.
He's
Who was
so
the
dramatic.
first officer to find any potential physical evidence at the scene, be it blood or glass?
I can't answer that. It was not me. I was not the first thing that was spotted was the pink spotting, not the glass.
Okay. Who was the first person to see the glass?
I think it was myself as I uncovered it with the leaf blower.
One of the important things that we've talked about, Mr. Gallagher, is documenting the details of evidence recovery, not just the fact that something was recovered, correct?
That's correct.
So you'd want to know what time of day it was recovered, correct?
I do.
You'd want to know who was there and who was around when it was recovered, correct?
Yes.
I do.
You'd want to know what the item is, the condition of the item, right?
Yes.
You'd also want to know exactly where it's recovered, correct?
Yes.
In other words, as best you can to pinpoint the exact location where an item was found. That
Yes.
could play a huge role in any investigation, be it criminal or otherwise.
It could. It could.
Did you diagram or draw a diagram back at Canton PD or
I did
out
not.
at the scene
No.
about where that glass was found?
No, I did no reports or diagrams.
Did you diagram exactly where you recovered the blood spots that you did recover?
No.
Sir.
Did you at least, if you didn't write a report, did you at least take notes on a pad about what you were doing?
The conditions weren't, it was pretty hard to take notes at that time, but I did not take notes, no.
You should be ashamed.
You can talk into a phone, sir. I've seen detectives do
Like-
that.
Shame on you.
At some point, you mentioned a person by the name of Tom Kelleher, Deputy Chief Kelleher.
That's correct.
Who is Deputy Chief Kelleher?
He's the deputy chief of Canton Police.
He was active on active duty at the time? When I say active duty, I don't mean that morning, that hour. I mean just generally.
Yes, he was a lieutenant at that time.
He was someone to whom, as a matter of fact, probably the only person to whom at Canton PD you actually reported, correct? Up the chain of command. He was the only person to whom you reported up the chain of command, meaning he was your direct report.
He was in charge of detectives at that time.
And
yes.
then, of course, the chief would be above him, correct?
Deputy chief and chief.
Okay. When you responded to the scene, Deputy Chief Kelleher did not come out of his house and take over the investigation, correct?
Correct.
That was yours to detail,
That is correct.
at least while you were there.
That is correct.
So can you describe what you did to preserve the crime scene? I'm sorry, to preserve the scene, because at that time you said you did not know if it was a crime scene. Is that right?
That's correct.
What did you do in
I mean,
terms of actually preserving the scene for later investigation? What steps did you take?
For later, can you explain later investigation?
So let me take a step back.
Sure.
Have you been trained to preserve scenes?
Yes.
Okay. What's the reason that you want to preserve a scene? What does that mean?
To collect evidence.
Collect evidence and make sure nothing is disturbed, correct?
Correct.
So civilians can't kind of traipse through, walk through evidence, correct?
That's correct.
You've heard the phrase forensically, evidence in, evidence out. Someone traipses through a crime scene, you bring
Correct.
evidence with you, and you take it back out with you on your shoes or on your feet or your breath or your saliva, whatever it might be.
Very familiar with that, yes.
Preserving the scene is best efforts, it's best practices to make sure that nothing is moved, touched, messed with in any way, correct?
That's correct, and that's what was done here.
What did you do? That's my question. What did you do to preserve that scene?
So there were no civilians ever to trample through. Were rescue efforts made on Mr. O'Keefe? Yes, that's priority. So rescue workers do go into any type of scene. Medical life-saving measures come first. Once all apparatus was off scene, the original officers put out crime scene tape to mark an area. And later, it was documented, it was photographed, and evidence was collected.
And it was searched by you, at least initially with the leaf blower.
Correct.
Okay. So you were interested in the area that, by the way, I want to clear this up, make sure I'm not mistaken. You described for Mr. Brennan basically where Mr. O'Keefe's body was, correct?
Yes, yes,
You never saw his body in situ. You never saw his body in place.
that is correct.
You were told by Sergeant Lank generally where his body was, correct?
Yes, and Sergeant Lank actually never saw Mr. O'Keefe either.
That's my next question.
Okay,
Sergeant Lank-
and Mr. Good, and Sergeant Good as well.
Right. Sergeant Lank never saw John O'Keefe actually in place, correct?
That is correct.
So you're receiving information from Sergeant Lank that he did not have personal knowledge of, and then you're providing that information later to crime scene investigators who are trying to establish a diagram or some sort of a chart about where that evidence was, where the drinking glass was, where his body was, correct?
No, I never spoke to anybody in that manner about that.
Didn't you ultimately
You
go
can't
out
sit
to
with
the
us.
scene along with others at Massachusetts State Police when they had a drone overhead?
No, you're mistaken. I can clarify it for you if you wish.
Sure.
So on February 1st, after the execution of the warrant, they wanted to go down to the scene. It was Trooper Proctor and somebody from the CARS team, I'm not sure of the name. Once they got down there, I did show them where I was shown John O'Keefe was. They did want to put up a drone, but they could not do it because they were too close to Norwood Airport and because of FAA regulations.
Okay.
And that was the last of my involvement
Okay.
with
So-
that. I hope that clarifies things for you.
Forget the drone. I'm interested in the first part, which was you accompanied Trooper Proctor to the
Correct.
scene, correct?
Correct.
There were other members of CARS, C-A-R-S.
I think there was one. Crash accident reconstruction section, I'm assuming.
Okay, so it's a forensic, a member of MSP who does forensic diagrams, correct?
I would say. I don't know if they do diagrams. I don't know what they do.
Or reconstruction of some sort.
Sure, reconstruction of some sort.
So you were there to help provide information about where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found, correct?
And be a Canton police officer present in case any neighbors had come out.
So you were there to help provide information about, or at least you did provide information to them about where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found.
Oh, sure, yes.
Except you didn't see Mr. O'Keefe's body, did you?
No, I did not.
So that was a guess on your part.
It was what I was shown. It's the information I had.
Yeah, it was the information you were told by Sergeant Lang, correct?
Yes,
Who also didn't see John O'Keefe in place on the ground at 34 Ferry, correct?
that is correct, yes.
So his would be a guess also, correct?
Well, we're going backwards, so he was told by Sergeant Good and et cetera. So it was information passed along, which is what police officers do.
Right. But the police officer that was out there at the scene, who was helping the reconstructionist establish the formal report, and the CARS report was an officer who not only didn't see where John O'Keefe's body was, you got information about where John's body was from someone who didn't see it either. Correct? Can we at least agree
no.
on that?
You have to go back to the beginning. I didn't understand the beginning of that question.
Sure,
It was very
I'll try it
long.
again. The point is, Mr. Gallagher, you happen to be tapped as the person who is going to assist the CARS folks, the MSP, in creating their CARS,
No.
ultimately their CARS report.
No.
Isn't it true that you accompanied Trooper Proctor and members of the CARS unit to document Fairview Road and the scene of the incident?
Yeah, I thought I explained it could not be done.
Shut up,
So
Angie.
I'm not
I
asking
wasn't, I only went to show them where Mr. O'Keefe was and in case any neighbors came out. I wasn't there to assist in any documentation at all.
You were there. You know who Brian Tully is.
I do.
Have you reviewed Brian Tully's report?
I have not. You showed me one section of it.
Is it true that what you actually told Brian Tully is that you went with Trooper Proctor, and you're already shaking your head now. I haven't even finished the question.
No.
I got that part wrong? You accompanied Trooper Proctor?
No, what's wrong is I was interviewed by Lieutenant Tully. That was a meeting I had
Okay.
with Prosecutor Lally.
Okay.
Trooper Tully was present. Trooper Tully never asked me any question. I don't recall Trooper
I
Tully
see.
ever asking me a question, sir.
So let me be a little bit more defined. So in Trooper Tully's report, where he reports what you said, you were actually talking to Adam Lally, my colleague sitting up in front.
Correct.
Okay. So now we've got that cleared up. Let me ask you again. Did you say in front of Trooper Tully that you accompanied Trooper Proctor and members of the CARS unit to document Fairview Road?
Meaning they were documenting Fairview Road. It's not clear. The report's not clear. They were going to document Fairview Road, not me.
So you just said something that I want to follow up on.
Okay,
The report's not clear, correct?
that's correct.
So that's an inaccurate report.
I wouldn't call it inaccurate at all. I'm just saying you're misinterpreting the wording.
I see. And I'm misinterpreting it even though I just read it directly from the report?
Yeah, sometimes sentences have different meanings.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay. The reality is you did end up going to the scene, correct?
I did.
And you accompanied, I don't want to use a word that you'll challenge, you went with Trooper Proctor, correct?
I took my cruiser to 34
Okay.
Fairview, yes.
You were there at the same time Trooper Proctor was?
Yes,
And you were aware that the CARS team was there so that they could document the scene, correct?
I don't know what the purpose of the drone was. I'm not familiar with that section. I thought I answered that question. I'm not familiar with what they do.
But you do believe that as you sit here, you were there, we weren't. You do
Right.
believe that that's the reason that they were there was to document the scene.
Put up a drone.
Okay.
I don't know what you mean by document. I don't know if it was to photograph, I guess, which if you mean by document, photograph, I guess it could, I would agree. If it means take measurements, I wouldn't know.
Okay. Did you tell any of the members of the CARS team where you believed John's body was?
I believe it was Trooper Proctor, but I believe he was there, yes.
Trooper Proctor obviously was not there when John's body was there either, correct?
That is correct,
So
yes.
he would have gotten that information.
From you. That is correct.
So now that's 3 people.
It's probably more, quite honestly, yeah.
Well, I'm just talking about
Yeah.
this report.
Correct.
The CARS report. That's 3 people in line none of them saw John O'Keefe's body, as it lay in the lawn when he was recovered.
That is correct, yes.
And there's no photographs
Of,
of Mr. O'Keefe
oh, no.
at the location.
No, we wouldn't, nobody would photograph somebody undergoing life-saving measures. Wouldn't be appropriate.
There's no video specifically.
They wouldn't take video of somebody
They wouldn't get
undergoing
body cams.
life-saving measurements.
There's no
either.
body cam.
We don't have body cameras.
There's no dash cam that shows it.
Well, dash cameras would be on the road. Mr. O'Keefe was approximately 8 to 10 feet off the road.
Well, hang on a second. You're not sure where Mr. O'Keefe was because you never saw him.
That's why I used a range, yes.
Right.
I know where the blood was, I know where the glass was.
Right. You don't know if he was 7 to 9 feet off. if he
That's
was
correct.
4 to 12 feet off. You can't say. Then he's
I could, only approximately, you are correct, yes.
You did meet with Officer Seraph. You met with all the officers when you arrived at the scene, correct?
Yes,
And Officer Seraph had been there from the beginning of the morning.
yes.
Officer Seraph didn't report to you at that time any statements attributable to my client. Did he?
He did not know.
You later went back to 34 Fairview with Sergeant Lank.
That's correct.
And you rode back, did you ride back to Canton PD with Sergeant Lank or separate cruisers?
Which time? I
I'm
apologize.
sorry, that's a vague question on my part. You went back to 34 Fairview with just Officer Lank, and you described a circumstance in which you went in, you were let in by Brian Albert, he went to the kitchen, you were in the family room or some other place?
Right by the kitchen, yeah.
Right by the
room
kitchen.
off the kitchen, yes.
Okay, so right next to where he was interviewing
That's correct,
Jennifer McCabe.
yes.
Did you ride back from that meeting with, or that event to Canton PD
Yes.
with Sergeant Lank?
Yes,
And Sergeant Lank didn't say anything to you about his interview with Jennifer McCabe at that time?
I don't recall our conversation on the way back.
Okay. And you didn't write a report about any conversation that you had with Officer Seraph? You didn't write a report about any conversation you had with Sergeant Lank?
No, they're responsible for writing their own reports.
Got it. You did say that let me back up and ask a different question.
I can't even.
You
guys.
testified about a year ago in another proceeding. You talked a little bit about the evidence collection of the biological material, the blood, or I'm guessing at that time, presumed blood. You haven't done any testing.
That's correct, yes, sir.
But you assumed it was blood just because of your experience and it looked like it could be blood on a suit.
That's correct.
How far were you from Canton PD? Approximately. It's a drive.
Mile and a half.
Mile and a half.
No.
You had your cruiser with you,
I had my personal vehicle with me.
your personal vehicle. In other words, your ambulance where you could get from point A to point B if you wanted to.
Yeah, I was the scene supervisor. I wasn't leaving the scene.
Okay.
Great.
But you also had subordinate folks at the scene that you could have dispatched had you wanted to.
Correct.
They all had cruisers
Yes, they did.
or personal vehicles, I'm not sure which.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's train
Or
time.
personal vehicles, I'm not sure which.
I was the only one with a personal vehicle. Detective Sergeant Lank had a Toyota Tundra pickup truck that is not marked, but it's assigned to our detective unit.
So if you wished to, as a ranking officer out at the scene, you could have dispatched one or more of those officers to run an errand, to go do something in furtherance of the investigation, had you wanted to.
Yeah, I actually did that.
Okay, you did. What did you
Yes.
do in that regard?
Remember, I sent Sergeant Good to get the leaf blower.
Got it. You also know that Canton PD has evidence collection bags at Canton PD.
Yes,
You also know that they have materials and tools to gather biological material, correct?
we do have swabs, yes.
And those swabs go in little containers to maintain their sanitary nature, correct?
That is correct,
In
yes.
other words, if you see a blood stain, you don't just walk up with a Kleenex that you find on the ground and wipe it up. There's your blood stain. There is a process for gathering that type of evidence, correct?
Sure, if you're looking for DNA, you can use a bloody Kleenex, to your point.
It'd be kind of an emergency.
Yeah, absolutely. My point exactly.
But if you're a mile from the Canton PD,
Yeah,
you could have gone back and gotten a swab.
could have.
But you didn't.
Didn't want to because of the weather, because you just said because it's an emergency.
I'm already-
And we thought it was an emergency there. I mean, the storm was coming down terribly. And I believe if we didn't collect that biological matter, we weren't going to get that biological matter.
If you guys want to throw potatoes or tomatoes at him in chat, I give you permission to do so.
In a blizzard,
Still, in a blizzard, I feel like it's 3 minutes in good weather, probably 4, 5, 6 minutes in a blizzard, correct?
I'm not sure.
So let's call it 12, 15 minutes. You certainly could have gone back. If you wanted to, you could have dispatched one of your officers to go back and get swabs and properly collect the blood material. Right?
Sure. And I believed 15 minutes would have made a difference.
And what you did instead is, well, 15 minutes would have made a difference, but you asked Sergeant Good to drive to his house and get a leaf blower.
I find it
Yes, and while he
hilarious.
was doing that, we were documenting the scene with photographs.
You could have documented the scene with photographs even if you went back and get a swab. What's the difference?
Because we were ongoing. It was ongoing. I wasn't leaving the scene.
I didn't ask you to leave the scene. I mean, I didn't ask if you were
I
leaving the scene.
needed the other officers. We talked about scene security. I already let one officer go. I now have 3 left. We're securing that scene.
So you saw pink stains in the snow, correct?
That's correct.
And you said, Officer Good, probably called him Sean, Sarge, go home and get a leaf blower.
That is correct.
Could have said, Officer Mulaney, get your butt over to Canton PD and pick up 10 swabs, correct?
He wouldn't have had access to the swabs.
Oh, so now one of your officers could have gotten swabs, even if the lieutenant, a ranking lieutenant, had dispatched him to go get a swab.
Because he doesn't have access to the BCI, the Office of BCI, where our stuff is kept.
Could you have made a phone call?
No, nobody there would have had access at that time. It was only Officer Dever on the desk.
So you're the only person that could have gotten those swabs?
Sergeant Lang could have gotten them as well.
So Sergeant Lang could have too,
Sure.
but you didn't say that.
No, definitely didn't.
Okay. What you did do, however, is you went to the neighbor's house. Happened to be Tom Kellerman, right?
The Lieutenant of Detectives, yes.
Right. And Lieutenant Kelleher gave you red Solo cups.
Yes. I asked for plastic or glass containers. He had solo cups, and I utilized them.
The same kind of Solo cups that we all see at backyard barbecues.
Yep, they hold liquid terrifically.
They're also not sealed, correct?
They are not.
They're also not used normally. I mean, they were here. They're not
Oh,
normally
Kelly.
used for evidence collection, correct?
Oh, absolutely not.
And then you decided you needed to transport that very important biological material back to Canton PD for storage and safekeeping, right?
That's correct.
And why was it important to transport that blood material so quickly? What are the factors that you considered, the weight and balance, in terms of getting that material back to Canton PD in good condition, sanitary condition?
So a criminalist could extract a proper DNA sample.
What would happen, for instance, if that blood material, I don't know, were contaminated?
Contaminated how?
You tell me, you're the professional.
So DNA is pretty hardy, pretty forensically stable. The only things that are going to harm it are radiation, ultraviolet light, harsh chemicals such as bleach.
And mixing with
That's
other
not
people's
present
DNA,
here.
sir.
I wasn't. Then you would have 2 sets of DNA when it's tested, which would benefit you.
Well, depends on whose DNA it is.
That's correct. That's correct.
Right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Exactly, Angie. Oh, how could they be contaminated? Oh, let me count the ways. Get out of here, sir.
While you were, I'm going to stay on this for a second.
Unbelievable.
So obviously, there's a reason why blood swabs or biological swabs are handled with such care. For instance, a DNA analyst is going to put on gloves.
Correct.
Oftentimes, they're going to put on a mask, right?
I don't know about that.
Oftentimes, they put on goggles. Is that right?
It depends what they're testing.
Right.
Yeah.
But in order to go out and collect something, you'll see CSI, crime scene investigators, in full body suits when they
Sure.
walk into a crime scene.
Yeah, you can.
Why
Because
is
you don't
that?
want to contaminate the scene with your own hair off your arm or an eyelash falling into a blood stain, correct?
That is correct.
Right. So there are protocols. I mean, you said just a second ago, Mr. Gallagher, well, it's DNA. Unless somebody pours bleach in it, you're pretty much golden, right? That's not quite the fact, is
And
it?
that's not quite what I said.
No, it's not quite what you said. You were suggesting that it's hardy enough that it doesn't really matter
No.
if it's contaminated or not. If there's multiple people's DNA, it just benefits everybody.
No, I simply asked what you meant by contamination.
Okay. So it could be contaminated with debris, is that right?
Sure, it can.
It could be contaminated with other people's DNA, is that right?
It can.
It could be contaminated with foreign items, either aerosols or somebody's spittle when you're talking, correct?
Sure.
It could be contaminated with 1,000 things.
Hypothetically,
Right.
they,
Of course, these solo cups didn't have lids on them, right?
they did not.
They were open.
Yes.
You didn't photograph where you picked up the samples.
No.
You didn't document where you picked up the samples.
No.
So if the samples were in six, how many solo cups were there?
6.
6 solo cups. We don't know as we sit here where each of those solo cups' contents
Shut
came from
up.
specifically, do we?
Specifically, no.
Okay. Then those solo cups with no lids were placed into a bag, right?
That's correct.
You said on direct examination that this was a brown paper bag, right?
It is. Stop and Shop, I believe.
And you said that Stop and Shop bag is, other than having the words Stop and Shop on it versus evidence on it, basically the one and the same thing.
Same dimensions, made out of the same material.
But one is touched by multiple people.
But with an evidence bag,
Because clearly they got it at a store.
where it came from and who's handling it.
Not necessarily.
Comes from a manufacturer
Sure.
whose job it is to secure those bags so that they are not mishandled, so they can have some sort of bona fides that they're clean and ready to accept evidence. In, say, for instance, I don't know, the investigation of a homicide of a police officer.
Okay.
Important stuff, right?
We're not at a homicide of a police
I
officer
didn't
at
ask
this
you.
point.
I'm just talking about evidence bags in
If it's
general.
not a homicide, why are you collecting stuff
Evidence
then?
bags in general. In other words, I'm trying to think of some of the most important investigations around. The manufacturers of those evidence bags manufacture them and send them in a way so that their bona fides, the provenance of those bags is maintained, correct, and protected.
That's the way they ship them, yes.
Right. And Kenton PD pays extra money for those bags for that very purpose.
I'm sure they do, yes.
You mentioned almost tongue in cheek, look, except for the price,
Yeah.
they're probably pretty close.
Yes.
There's a reason that there's a price difference, right?
What would the reason, what's the reason?
Well, it's not a shop, I can go pay 10 cents for
Sir,
that bag, because I don't really give a hoot where it's been or who's handling it. Right? It's got my milk and my eggs in it, really don't care.
Yeah, I don't know how they price it, because of how they package it. I don't have any knowledge of
Well,
that.
the other one that mentioned the price. I'm just
Oh,
trying
no,
to
no,
make a point.
no. Yeah, I
There's a
agree with
reason.
you on that.
I'm sorry, we're speaking over each other. Okay.
I apologize.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gallagher, you gotta wait for me.
Yep,
There's a reason. My point is, there's a reason, right?
Yes.
The evidence bags are more expensive because there is a way they're manufactured and they're taken care of, and Canton PD is willing to pay that extra price, like every other law enforcement agency, because of that, correct? All right. So they're not quite the same, are they?
no.
there you go. Oh my goodness.
Those solo cups were placed in the evidence bag uncovered.
Yes,
The evidence bag was then placed in Sergeant Lank's vehicle.
it was closed and Sergeant Lang transported it to his vehicle, yes.
Okay. When you say closed, you mean the top of it was rolled up?
Correct.
Or folded over?
Correct.
Okay. It wasn't forensically sealed.
Not at that time, no.
There was no evidence tape that went on it.
Not at that time, no.
Matter of fact, the cups were still open and could slosh around.
Uh,
Assume they melted.
There's no lid, sir.
Yes,
There's liquid blood and liquid water, like
that's correct.
snow.
That's correct.
Oh my God. I'm
And you
dying.
indicated that those were, at least you believe, those were placed in an evidence locker, temporary evidence locker, correct?
No, the blood samples were put in a refrigerated unit.
My mistake. I thought the refrigerator was the temporary.
After
It's different.
getting to.
Yes, lockers are not refrigerated. That's where the
Yeah.
glass would go into a locker.
Okay. This was placed into an evidence refrigerator.
That's correct.
That was to maintain the integrity of the sample, the biological sample.
What?
Correct?
That's correct.
Do you have an evidence log of that?
I don't know.
Probably save them all the money on these
You've
lawsuits.
never seen an evidence log indicating that those were actually put into a refrigerated evidence log.
I removed them myself, so I know they were in the refrigerator unit
When did you remove them?
on February 1st.
Right. We're talking about January 29th. They were taken to Canton PD by Officer Lang, Sergeant Lang, on January 29th. I'm just asking, well, let me ask a foundational question.
ridiculous.
Does Canton PD maintain something called evidence logs?
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I
I
forgot
don't know
about
the
the
answer to
closed
that.
caption.
I'm
My
not the evidence
apologies.
officer.
No.
There is, it's all computerized.
You guys got to remind
So
me.
like I explained earlier, when they do get logged in, the officer puts the description of the property, hits the space bar, and the computer generates an evidence number.
Right. And that evidence number is associated with just that piece of evidence.
Just that piece of evidence, correct?
And every time it's checked out or put back in, there is a log created, correct?
Yeah, they do it by computer, yes.
It's a digital fingerprint.
Correct.
All right. I mean, you're a former narco specialist, right?
Mm-hmm.
You did narcotics for years, right?
I did.
Drugs, about the most sensitive thing out there, right? I mean, you get a bottle of fentanyl. You're not just going to go set it on
Of course.
the evidence subject's desk. You're going to make sure that damn thing gets logged exactly how it's supposed to, correct?
Of course.
Because it needs to have a trace of where it goes and who touches it and who has access to it, correct?
That is correct.
You've never seen an evidence log for these items that were taken from 34 Fairview and supposedly put into the, well, not supposedly because you took them out, and
That's correct.
ultimately went into a refrigerated evidence log.
Yeah, I wouldn't have access to the evidence log. Our evidence room is a very strict process. There's only 2 people that can even have access to the permanent, once it goes into permanent evidence. And it's the admin sergeant that changes the custody when it comes out for court, if an item has to come out for court, or if it has to be transported to another agency, or if an officer needs it removed from evidence for further inspection. The admin sergeant would take care of that.
That's the way it's.
Mr. Jackson, you're not going to finish today, right?
No, I'm
In
not.
2 minutes.
Two questions, and I'm also.
All right, 2 questions.
Thank you. That's the way it's supposed to work, correct?
Yes,
But you've never, as you sit here, you've never seen an evidence log determining where that blood went and who was handling it between January 29th and February 1st.
I have never seen an evidence log.
That's all I had, Your Honor, at least at this time.
All right, Lieutenant, we're going to have you come back tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Your
When
Honor.
the jury files that, you can file it behind them.
Thank you.
So jurors, that's it for today. The same 4 cautions. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, read anything about it, please disregard it and let us know tomorrow, and be very careful with your social media use. All right, see you tomorrow. Thank you.
All rise to the court, please. Just close your notebooks, follow me.
There's my microphone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. We'll wait and see if they come back, of course. But Terry's joined us. I can't. Jeez. Oh my gosh, you guys. What is happening?
I'm almost speechless.
Everything
Me
is
too.
wrong.
Me too.
Double H stuck his head into my office. He goes, "What are you watching?" I said, "Oh, it's the guy who thinks it's okay to use solo cups to put evidence in." And he goes, "Huh?" I was like, "Oh." I said,
Mm. Yeah,
they have
I
no
don't.
problem with it.
I don't
These are
understand.
not
You
sterile.
don't need me for anything, right?
No, Your Honor.
There's one very.
Oh, I need you first.
Un momento.
Yes.
I need you to do a better
Oh,
job.
never mind. We're just doing a sidebar. So F us, apparently.
You don't need
I
me
need
for
that.
anything, right?
I need that.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And this is just our first like
God.
scene person.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh.
I can't even.
I mean, Annie, if this doesn't put you into labor, honey, I don't know what else would.
I was just thinking, if it's this bad with him, how's it going to be with
Oh, it
Proctor?
gets worse. It gets worse.
that's what
like-
Chaz said. It gets worse. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so bad
It gets
already.
worse.
This is awful.
It is.
I mean, to first say, well, we didn't know it was a homicide. Literally 101. is assume it's a homicide always. And then you deduce natural causes or other manners.
Did he miss
Um,
that day, or does that seem to not work that way?
I'm not a cop, but I know you always go in thinking the absolute possible worst situation because it's better to go down than to try to go
Mhm.
up because you can't
Exactly.
go up. You can
And that's just not
Wow.
my opinion. That is what I have seen people, law enforcement,
Over and
testify
over.
in trial over. Like that's where my reaction is. It's not just what I think it should be. It's what I have seen other
Well, I
law
always heard my
enforcement.
dad say you assume the worst.
What?
I just
And the fact
I
that he was like, well,
was
we need to collect this evidence now. Why? No, you didn't. You've got plenty of time. It's cold as shit outside.
And
It's not going anywhere.
the office isn't far away.
It's
It would
not
take you
that far
what,
away.
like half an hour maybe to go and come back?
exactly.
And then him being like, yeah, it was DNA. DNA is solid. How could it be? Are you effing kidding me, sir? I can't believe he sat there and said all this with a straight face.
How many cases did he screw up?
And there's no
Sorry, I'm
chain of
laughing at
command.
Funka.
Oh, I should click back over the comments.
No, you don't want to.
It's better to go down. Well, I mean, you guys. Wait until the who finds the tail pieces come. I mean, that's my biggest thing right there, right? Is they're so close to his body.
Yeah.
They're so close to his body. How did other people not get injured by them? There's what? 3 inches of snow? Maybe 4, but even then, it doesn't matter how dense or packed the snow is. It's going to... And they didn't make a diagram. No, I do understand. No, they didn't pick... Let me tell you one thing that annoys me. It's everybody being like, we were performing life-saving measures. Y'all,
He was
dead.
Y'all have
All
already
right?
admitted
Everybody,
that.
yeah, everybody knew. I mean, they did what they had to do because they do have a thing where the body has to be warm to be declared dead. Because apparently, I looked into that, and maybe I'll share it tomorrow or something. All the weird cases I found when people have been frozen to death, that you think, but then it turns out they're not, which is interesting.
At
But he was
this
dead.
point, I just want to go to the Commonwealth's district attorney's office and ask them, what in the hell are you thinking of bringing this case a second time? Do they just have extra money? Because if they have extra money, they need to buy cameras on all of the officers. They need to get evidence bags that are a little bit more accessible.
And don't tell me this police department doesn't have money. Okay.
I know.
We've seen these houses and we know their jobs. Y'all got money. Freaking buy body cams. Polly, by you saying Kenda, do you mean Joe Kenda? Does Joe Kenda have a YouTube where he is giving his thoughts on this case? Because if so, that is what I'm watching tonight. I love Joe Kenda.
I have
He
a
would
new
never.
request.
He would
I
never.
have no idea who that is.
I think we need Elbow Feet to do a reenactment of Evidence Guy.
I'm sure
looking
he
it
can
up
do
right
something.
now, Tara. That face
That
was
is
so
cool.
sad.
Lieutenant Joe Kenda, he has a ton of shows. I love him so much. He's
Exactly,
from
Lady in Gray.
not Denver, Colorado, but
Is it this older looking
yes. Yes. The dapper older gentleman. Yes.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Joe Kenda, who is awesome.
I
Exactly.
didn't know
That
what
goes way
Dateline
far
was,
back.
remember?
I know. You're so pretty. I love him. No protocols. This is crazy. There are some Las Vegas cops that have been reacting to this. Ooh, and losing their mind. Colorado Springs. Thank you. I knew there was a military base there, but I was just like stuck on
That would be
Kelly,
sweet.
you've never heard of Joe Kenda? Oh my gosh. Tonight, you guys, I have homework. Homework
You
for the
have homework.
chat.
We can
Go watch
stream
some
it
Joe
the way
Kenda.
we-
I know that a bunch of them are on HBO Max, but probably the ID channel. Anyway, go watch yourself some Joe Kenda. He's the best.
I just
He's great. Me too. Me too. This is shocking. I know everyone said that the investigation was shit, but like we're just we're just starting the investigation and it's already so bad. And here's the thing, okay? I probably wouldn't be that upset if they would admit how bad it was, right? Like, okay, I'll give you grace being like, this is just what we had. Stuff was going on. Listen, it's not great. We did not do our best for a fellow cop.
Yeah.
But they're not
Mhm.
admitting to that. They're just like, yeah, this is
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yes,
It's
this
fine.
is fine. There's nothing
This is
wrong
fine.
with it. What's your problem?
That's crazy to me.
It's insane.
And they couldn't ask anybody for a freaking cooler to
And now-
transport the snow blood.
It makes me
It's safe.
wonder what other cases that there may be some
I'm sure.
wrongly convicted people.
Yeah.
If
Because-
this is the way they practice for one of their own, can you imagine what
Yeah,
they do for a no one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where my
Oh,
Because
yikes.
this is one of your own. You would think you would go above and beyond.
These guys are
Mhm.
nonchalant. I'm going to need you to define that, Lady in Gray. Please define the word nonchalant.
I just
He's a bit of a bright light on a notorious. Oh, I think he's talking about Joe Kenda.
Yeah.
Oh.
Joe Kenda's big fans. I love Joe Kenda. That's why Walsh is appealing, which I hate that because that guy. I
yeah.
know we're supposed to do innocent before proven guilty, but like y'all seen his Google searches? Y'all seen those? They're not great. They are not great.
I do have good
Wow.
news for you, Llama.
Yes. Yes.
Today is Cinco de Mayo. Court
is.
is over. You can go from midday Moscato to margaritas.
Monday margaritas.
Ooh.
Elbow feet is listening.
Time for Monday margaritas and chips and salsa.
get it together, elbow feet.
Oh.
So there's your good news of the day because who do you think won the day?
And y'all in chat are saying it's gonna get so much worse.
Oh, yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Who
Like
do you
as a
think won the
department,
day?
I would be embarrassed about that.
It's not the prosecution on
It's
my
not.
thoughts.
Who won the day? Oh, defense won the day by far. From beginning to end.
I don't care
Going
what
out for
else they
Annie.
put on. I have reasonable doubt so much
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
already.
It's day 9 of a, I don't know, multiple months
Yeah.
potentially.
Ugh.
Mm,
That's insane.
that's infuriating,
Wow.
is what that is. I mean, how many trials have we watched together, Annie? Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
I don't know.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? And here's the thing, right? It is not unknown to snow in Massachusetts. There has to be some sort of protocol thing that they do for when it's snowing. You know, it's not like freaking Louisiana who got a blizzard out of freaking nowhere.
No,
Yeah.
the
they're
first time
prepared for
ever.
hurricanes. And what do you do when
Yeah.
there's a hurricane? They're not prepared for snow.
No,
Massachusetts people, they should be prepared.
it cannot possibly be their only potential homicide that has happened outside in the middle of a blizzard. You are not going to convince me this is their first time
No.
at all. Like, get out of here with that. I wonder what the jury is thinking right now, too. I mean, granted,
I
we
think they're
love true
hitting
crime.
the alcohol.
We love true crime and we love trials. But even as a lay person, even if you're somebody who doesn't care about all this stuff and you just watch made up police
Mhm.
procedure like Law and Order or CSI, you'd be like, I
Right.
don't think
That's
that's how any of this
questionable.
would go. Even the
Let's
fake
look
stuff.
up. Mhm.
If I get
Oh.
accepted for this jury, I want to ask the prosecution or a police officer or somebody, hey, do you think it's okay to use solo cups to collect evidence for a potential murder?
Woo!
Right?
They'll be like, yeah, we changed our mind. You're out of here.
You watch
And
too
then,
much
and then
True
for him to say, well, I don't know how it could be contaminated by putting it in a different bag. This was somebody's grocery bag.
Bag. I
Meaning,
know.
all the stuff they put in there probably touched by people.
crime. Yep. The bag
inside of the
itself.
bag, yeah, like
Bag
how?
itself, it's
And how do
The-
you act like this is no big deal?
yeah. I mean, there's touch DNA there. I mean, I think that's my biggest problem is they are They truly believe it's not a big deal.
I can't even.
He truly thinks they did nothing wrong.
I can't even. Now I want to look into places like Minnesota and Wisconsin, right? Because they get bad weather too. And it's for several months out of the year.
Right.
What do they do to preserve things when there's a body found in the snow and there's blood? That's what I'm gonna deep dive tonight. Is what are they doing in these other Maine? If you want to stick to the East Coast, Vermont, New Hampshire. Let's see what their tactics are. There has to be something. And I would feel like, did they ever test the blood to see if it was John's, or were they like, yeah, this is too tainted. We shouldn't even bother wasting taxpayers' money. You guys, this is what the taxpayers' money is going to. That is crazy.
Now let's think about the victim's family. What do you think the mom and the family's got to be sitting there thinking?
I would be infuriated. And I know that they're supportive of the prosecution, and I do
I know,
not
but
give them any grief for that, because they just want an answer, and you will hang on to whatever you can, But like,
but
yikes.
they got to be sitting there going, that's not great.
No. And again, so their theory is he gets backed into 24 miles an hour by Karen's car. Mind you, he doesn't have bruises on that side of the body, but they find his body, his phone, all the glassware, all the taillights, all within like a 2 to 3 foot vicinity. That doesn't make sense to me, how that's even possible. I am baffled.
I was just thinking I would take one for the team. I was sitting here thinking, I wonder if Double H would back into me in the Armada going 24 miles an hour. And then I just said, I don't
think we need to do that.
Interested in knowing that now that I think about that.
I don't think you need to do that. We have reconstructionists coming in the name of ARCA. And the name, I know a lot of people were saying the prosecution did not want ARCA to testify. Oh boy. Because if you show that anyone else would do anything different.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I can't believe they took all of this evidence, this storyline, they took all of this that they have and thought, yeah, we should do this again.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy to me. I mean, we have a lot more to go. But this moment so far it has to be the most shocking so far in this trial, where we're just like, WTF, what? Are you serious right now? That's, I do hope they bring in Trooper Paul, who I heard did the police. I'm going to have a heyday with that guy.
Yeah. I think all of these officers need to consider changing their line of work if they don't see a problem with this.
You know why they don't see a problem with this? It's because they've been doing this for a long time, and the higher-ups don't have a problem with it. Remember, everyone's as good as their superiors. Exactly. Everyone's as good as their superiors, who trains them, who teaches them the stuff they let slide or don't let slide. That's where it all comes from. This isn't their first time at this rodeo.
How do we know about it if there's no records for it, Paula?
Goes back to the scene with no records for it. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I believe it at this point. I just, how do they prove that he went back multiple times?
And then I want to know how much snow was found under the glass pieces or tailgate pieces.
Of course.
I just don't see how anybody else didn't get hurt, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. And how did they not find those pieces until a week or two later?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, and then let's say those tail pieces were there. All right. You can't say that if Karen hit him, that is what caused all the damage in those tail pieces. If people were walking all over them in the snow,
it's true,
crushing them up to a bunch of little bits. You cannot sit there and say, it shattered into a bunch of pieces just by hitting him. No, you can't.
Yeah. No.
Can't say that.
Yeah, and I mean there were too many pieces in the snow for that because we saw the video of her backing in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There's too many pieces in the snow. It did not. That does not correlate. Not that many pieces were missing in the video.
No.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And let's not
Yeah.
forget, Jen ended her testimony with seeing them in the snow, the
Yeah.
red tail. No, you didn't. Stop.
Girl,
Stop it.
please.
I mean,
Of course.
In the road?
and I know it's bad. I don't know why
It's-
I'm so shocked again today. It's almost like I've been re-traumatized from
It's like
watching
a
it
whole
last time.
town.
Well, I think, again, the problem is, right, is they're like gaslighting us, basically.
They
Being like, no,
are
this is
gaslighting
perfectly
us.
normal. And I'm
How is
sorry,
it
but I
so
can't respect
many?
your testimony
Yeah.
when you're going to play stupid and be like, yeah, this is totally normal and fine. This is how everybody does it. No, you just,
Incorrect.
come on. Come on.
I'm going to have to call Alt Gelt, the officer we had on. Actually, I'm seeing him tomorrow. I'm going to
Oh,
ask
yeah.
him about solo cups.
I mean, sure you could put them, but again, as somebody mentioned earlier, you don't know if they were clean. Were they
Right.
never used? Because people can use them and you can rewash them. People do
You
that.
can. But what about the manufacturer or people make them, their hands could be, they've got to be packaged.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to me, you guys. Well, I did get what I asked for today, and that was for some juicy interrogation testimony. And boy, did we get it. Oh, wow. I have
Yeah.
secondhand embarrassment for them.
Everyone.
Great.
Agreed. I do too.
Wow.
Maybe they're brainwashed.
No, I think they're just so used to this being the norm
I think they drink the Kool-Aid.
that for them, this is normal.
They did drink the Kool-Aid.
Like, I
Gross.
thought that the
Wow.
Delphi investigation was crap, and it is. But
This is
WTF.
worse.
This is a department that has been around for a very long time, okay?
Mm.
They got money. I don't care what they say. We saw the people that live in this community. Like, shut up. Okay.
Well, and they're all drinking constantly. Drinking is expensive.
And
It's
they
not cheap to
admit
go out.
drinking and driving.
Yeah.
And their officers off though. They've arrested. So if I was a person who had ever gotten a DWI from one of these people, I would be going
No.
back to court and saying, how come I got charged, had to pay all this money, spend the night? This person admitted they did it.
Hypocrisy.
Rules for thee, but not for me. And they were
Ugh.
drinking at like a local bar that they had to have been regulars at. And if anybody here has been regular at a bar, what happens? What happens at a bar when you're a regular? Your
They're really
drinks are
strong.
stronger. Yeah, they are. Because if you're a
What?
regular, yes, girl, have you
Girl,
not been a bar
no, I didn't.
Oh my
Y'all,
gosh.
I didn't drink till I was 21, and then I was over. Like,
And especially when you're in
Oh,
like
I
a
know.
hole in a wall bar like this one,
Mhm.
but not a chain, right?
No.
You're not drinking at like
Right.
friggin' Applebee's or some shit like that.
I didn't
when you're
have
in a-
like,
Yeah, and you're
didn't have that
regular, they hook
experience.
you up because you spend a lot of money there.
And your
And the mo-
wine, they fill the full glass. They don't just give you
Yes.
that little bitty wine pour. They give
You
you a
don't get
glass.
just a few second pour
I
for
feel
your
like I missed
liquor.
out.
Yeah, girl. That's why I come to Ohio. We'll go. I mean, I haven't been out in a
Thanks.
while, but but when you're a regular in a bar, they treat you well. And then when you're
Mhm.
regular cops in a bar, you're telling me
Yeah.
they didn't. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
they hooked them up.
For sure.
Huh.
For sure. I have every reason to believe that. And forgot where
What?
he left his gun. Oh, wow.
Okay, wait a minute.
Oh, it was Higgins. Wow. Oh, wait, no, somebody else says it was Kevin Albert.
Okay, I'm going.
Either
to look
way,
it up.
it's, you know what? Either way, doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter. It's
What?
a cup. It's a cup.
Pop got drunk.
Oh, it could be Brian Albert instead of,
got
wow.
where he.
Like that night?
What?
Kevin Albert.
No, they're all saying it was Brian.
Hold on, I just Googled it.
That is so incredibly unacceptable.
I'm opening the news article.
That's your service weapon.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Right? My mom even said too, Mama Llama confirmed, that's a fact. I bartended, you're a regular,
I
you
think
get the
that's
hookup.
ridiculous. I
You spent enough
absolutely
money
missed
then.
out on that.
You still
That's
got time, girl.
crazy.
You're not even 30 yet. You got time.
I will be.
Yeah, I've been a regular enough to know.
That's crazy.
So
Well,
Brian Albert was working a case with Higgins previously, and they got drunk, and Brian
That's what I
called
was reading
Higgins
in
to know if
Albert
he
left.
knew where Brian left his gun.
So then there's an article on CBS News Boston. He was drunk. Kevin Albert was placed on leave for being on the job drunk.
Wow.
is it not? I'm gonna shut up before.
Well, hell,
I'm
if I
gonna
remember right, I think Paul, John's brother, when he was like messaging that woman that apparently he was having a flirtationship or whatever, not his wife, he even said that he had been out drinking till like 4 o'clock in the morning and that he was hungover when he showed up at court at like 7 in the morning. Bro, you're not just hungover at 7 in the morning when you've been out till 4. Okay, you're still drunk as shit. While he was on the stand testifying that morning.
Can't it lead to felony charges if you are drinking and carrying?
Would for any other civilian, yes, that is felony charges if you have
Right.
a gun when you've been drinking
So
alcohol.
they put Kevin Albert on leave the day after he testified for him and Michael Proctor drinking years ago, but they admitted it. It had happened 2 years ago,
leave.
and they put him on leave because he was drinking on the job.
Idiots.
Oh my! They went out one night drinking.
That is insane. And that whole department needs to be gutted.
Okay, so yeah, Kevin Albert, they went out drinking July 2022. Kevin Albert left his badge in Proctor's cruiser, and Proctor said, "Hey, I found your badge." And Kevin responds, "Did I take my gun? I don't know where it is."
That is
What?
horrific.
Okay, I'm going to just go on record and say they might need to just do an overhaul with that whole police department. It might just be time to
Exactly. It needs
gut
to
it
be gutted.
and
It's unacceptable.
don't hire anyone from the Boston Canton area. You need to go outside and look for
No.
people who want to move there.
What? Shanka says Brian Albert got drunk at the former chief's retirement party and said the chief is who you want to call if you need to get rid of a body.
You know, at this point, that doesn't surprise me, actually.
Yeah.
And see, this is why people have the problems they have with law enforcement, you know? Because these people should know better. That these are not young people.
Yeah.
All right, they're not young people. They're all in their late 40s, early 50s. Like,
Wow.
you know better. You know better.
Wow.
You're not a bunch of rookies. Well,
And it doesn't get better. It just gets worse. So
excellent.
I don't.
Well,
How do you get worse than this?
it-
I believe you. I can't wrap my mind around it.
I can't either, girl. I can't either. I am so just like, what is happening? What is happening? So chat, who do you give the win of the day to? Defense or prosecution?
defense.
Defense for me as well. Even
Not
from
the
their first,
prosecution.
not the prosecution. Well, we had Blood Math Lady, which
Yeah.
I mean, she was a great witness on the stand, meaning like her demeanor and stuff. She was very professional.
Given bad
She-
stuff, you give bad results. So that would not
Exactly.
be on her.
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't put that on her. She was just given information to calculate.
And she was
And-
honest.
They didn't give, yeah, and she was very honest about that. She was a little flustered here and there, and I get that, right? Because I would be upset if people were like that about my work too, but she was very honest about it. Then we had the brother-sister duo, the Nagels.
Mhm.
I know one's Julie. I forget the other guy's name.
I think it's Ryan.
Is it Ryan? Let me look,
I
because I keep
think.
doing that today, and I keep making a mental note of it. It is Ryan. You are correct.
Okay.
I keep trying to make a mental note, and then it like disappears. So Ryan and Julie, they were like, they weren't great prosecution witnesses,
They weren't
really.
either.
They were like, no, we didn't see a whole lot. But they did see that Karen was there because they arrived basically the same time she did to the house. One said that he didn't see John in the passenger seat for after a while, and they didn't see anybody there, and it didn't seem like they saw anything happen.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything more to their testimony? Because I think that's when my dog was being an a-hole.
Not really.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
that was all for them.
Yeah.
And then we have the ambulance lady, the EMT lady,
Katie,
She just needs to go under a rock.
who she
Katie?
said, she claimed she heard Karen
Katie
say,
McLaughlin.
yes, Katie
Yeah.
McLaughlin heard Karen say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him 3
I hit him.
times. I hit him
Was it-
4 times.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the thing, right? So it turns out Katie went to high school with Caitlin Albert. We're just going to call her Albert, but Brian's daughter of the house. Went to high school
Mhm.
together. She said, we don't really know each other. We're not really that good of friends or anything
That's
like
just
that.
some girl I went to high school with.
Yeah, some girl. Pictures prove otherwise. Okay.
Exactly.
Numerous pictures over the years with them together with friends, and not just like, oh, we're just in the same group photo. Like they're
Mhm.
beside each other in a lot
Like,
of photos. And
sitting on each other's lap.
yeah, how about when you all take photos? Don't you
Yeah.
usually have like the person close to you, like,
Uh-huh.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they went on vacations together,
Yeah.
but she doesn't know her
Multiple.
like that. They're
Yeah.
not friends.
Okay.
So that was a problem.
One question I wish they would have asked is, have you ever had her phone number in your phone?
Right?
Because they were
Oh.
friends on Facebook. But did you have
Mhm.
her contact information in your phone?
Right. And they also asked her that when Karen made the statement, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, why Katie did not further press like what she meant by that. And Katie
Right.
said, oh, I didn't really think it was that important. You know, she seemed really upset and I didn't want to pry. This is somebody who is supposed to be giving medical attention. And she didn't care to find out the method of what she meant by hitting. Because there's all different sorts of he had 2 black eyes, maybe she punched him in the face. He had a
Right.
thing in the back of his head, maybe he was hit by a bat, or maybe he was hit by a car. But she said, I didn't think it was that important.
Doesn't matter.
I didn't want to upset her when
Yeah.
we're apparently giving life-saving care to a dead person.
But like you said, I mean, it would be important because if he truly was hit by a car, there could be internal bleeding
There
that
should
they
be.
need to know about. They need to lift his
Yeah.
clothes up, check him, and there's some things they need to do.
Yeah.
So to me, it's important. That would be like somebody, oh, I think he took a drug overdose, and you not asking what kind of drug because you don't think that's important.
Exactly.
Well, is Narcan
Not like
going to work or not work?
Mm-hmm. Because
So
it doesn't
to
work
me,
with every drug.
it's a basic question.
Right? I can't even say that it makes her necessarily a liar, but boy, does it make you look a little inept. I mean, that's a really big question to know what that person meant if they're saying they hit somebody. And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like, she has to see people in their worst, most emotional states and hysteria all the time. That's part of the job. So why is Karen in the way she's reacting different than all the other calls she's been called on?
And if truly Karen said that and an officer was told or another paramedic, how did Karen leave not in handcuffs?
Right.
I've seen them handcuff people until they can
Less.
get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't see how they, yeah.
Right. So then we have Detective. I forgot his name already. I don't remember this guy's name. Hold on. Oh, Mr. Paul Gallagher. I should have remembered the Gallagher because he's all about his props with his solo cups and shop bags. And it's not going well for this guy. This is embarrassing and infuriating. Again, you can't sit there and be like, yeah, I I think she did it. Okay. And the investigation be this bad. It's not okay to say that. Even if you think she's guilty, it doesn't really matter. The evidence, that's a problem. And it's a problem that we don't want to happen to everyone else in this country, right? It doesn't matter if you think she's guilty or not guilty.
Right.
Do you want your death to be investigated this way? Or
No.
one of your loved ones?
Mhm.
Or do you want to be tried for somebody's murder when they can't even freaking collect evidence in the most appropriate way? Like, this is a big problem, everyone. A big problem. And at this point, I don't really give a shit if she's guilty or not guilty. Yikes.
Reasonable.
Oh, I think we're losing you, Terry.
It's reasonable doubt.
Oh, reasonable doubt is what you said. Yeah. Yeah, you're a little. There you go. Now you're back. Yeah, it's definitely some reasonable. The reasonable doubt is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't know how they're going to overcome some of this. You're good now. You're back to normal. It's not great for them. And I can't believe it's going to get worse. I need to buy more wine tonight.
I'm going to just say order 2 boxes
Order 2 boxes.
and get ahead of the game.
Pull a Terry, order 2 boxes of wine.
Order 2 boxes so that you have it because you're going to need it because you might need more than a bottle one day, less than a bottle another day. Just get 2 boxes.
So they have to call this Sergeant Link guy. They have name dropped this guy so much. And the other guy, what was not Officer Shapiro? What's his Seraph? They had to bring that guy because everybody's talking about him, and they need to bring in Proctor. Oh, can you believe when Gallagher said, "Well, I don't know who was in charge, who was the lead investigator. Sometimes it can be 2 people, sir." No,
It has been 2 years, and you have done a trial before, and you have been prepped for this one, and you should know. Garbage. I call.
but if I recall, the first thing you do is you keep putting one person in charge of everything at a scene. We see it in every trial we watch. Every single one has one lead investigator. Even if they have a partner, that partner can come and testify, but one of them is assigned, no matter what, as a lead investigator from the very beginning. So if like first responders show up and first few officers, the main officer will take charge until somebody else higher up comes, blah, blah, blah. It's a systemic,
So in emergency response, we call it incident command. So like if I'm first on scene, I would be incident command until someone who outranks me shows up, then they become incident command, and I have to it's my responsibility to give them the information they need. So it's got to be similar to the same way for
as far as I've always
police
heard it,
officers.
As far as I've always heard it in trials that we watch.
Because you can't have too many chiefs. You need to have one chief and the rest be Indians.
That's just crazy. People on Twitter think that Sarah's testimony was great. Oh, wait, Sarah McLaughlin. No, that wasn't her name. Who's Sarah again? Oh,
Her name was Katie McLaughlin.
no, but there was a Sarah. There was a Sarah because she said it was with an H. Oh, that was the other friend.
That was the other
Julie and
friend.
Sarah
That's right.
rode with Jen. That's who Sarah. I forgot all about her.
the one with no.
The one who
lipstick.
never saw the dog.
Oh,
Yes.
Chloe.
That's how much of an impact she made on me. I forgot all about her today. Yikes.
I mean, I will say out of everybody's testimony, she made somewhat more sense.
I mean, I don't think it really contributed to a whole lot. Like, oh, okay. Shanka asked, but Terry, would you text your high school friends and refer to a suspect witness as a see you next Tuesday with no S? I don't know.
No.
Let's see those texts, Terry. Let's see what you're really saying about me. Just kidding.
I will send them to you.
I got an ass now. That's all I say. Elbow feet will agree.
Now, I will say I'm the person that my text, I have them set up to delete every 7 days.
Really?
I don't have enough room in my memory, even with this new iPhone, with all the videos I have and pictures.
Oh,
I
Terry,
can't.
I'm so popular. I gotta make room like an ARCA agent.
No, it's because I have
Just kidding.
a granddaughter who likes to send me tons of videos and pictures,
No, I'm just kidding.
and then I'm out of space.
I'm like
Now,
the.
to be honest, I could pay for more space.
But
I
like,
could pay for more space.
Yeah, Gmail told me the other day, they were like, you have until May 1st to delete a bunch of shit because you're at 15.01, you know, whatever. And they're like, it's going to go, we're going to close your account May 1st. So the other night I spent some time bringing it down just barely, but that's because I never delete like hardly anything. Mostly because I don't care. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so much work. I don't feel like it. But, you know, you might want to be careful. You never know. Could
Now,
be
with that being
important.
said, I delete the text on my phone, but because I use a Mac, they do back up to my iCloud, and they're
No
still
matter
on my
what?
Mac. On my Mac, since my Mac and my iPhone. So all of my texts were only deleted on my phone device, but they're still on my Mac.
okay, that's
Oh,
cool.
So they're still there if I ever need to go back and get them. They're just not on my phone. I need
not
to
on the phone
clarify.
itself.
That's fair.
I
Better
don't
record
know.
keeping than the police.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I have to go get back to work, but man.
Well, thank you guys. I mean, I don't know if there really is much more to say at this point in the day. I'm going to have a lot to think about tonight, and we'll probably have some thoughts tomorrow morning. But I think we're going to go now for the day. If you have more thoughts, please leave them in the comment video or the comment section of this video because I want to hear all of them. I want to hear all of your thoughts about what we have heard today and how it's impacted you, like what your thoughts on it are. And by the way, if it's different than ours, it's okay. Remember, everybody can have different opinions. Just be cool about it, okay? Just be cool. Don't be mean about it. But otherwise, we will be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern, bright and early. Everyone lost IQ points today. Boy, did we. Boy, howdy did we. But until tomorrow, you guys go forth and be amazing. We love you so much. Thank you for being here. And please like this video and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live tomorrow. Anything else from you two?
No, I'm good. Just happy Margarita Monday.
Happy Margarita Monday. You all enjoy. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Bye.